We got some Saturday NFL football going on these days. It is Saturday, after all, January the 4th, 2025. Happy New Year to everybody out there. It's a brand new year. It's 2025. If you happen to be in the chat, let me know if you can hear me okay. We always got to check in with the chat on the audio. Got to pin this thing over here and check in with everybody. Make sure you can hear me on the old microphone, okay? You never know, no matter how many times you check it before you go live, it can always screw up once you hit the go live button. So let me know if you're in the chat and you can hear and see me okay. We got a game going on tonight. We got the Bengals. We got the Steelers. They're going to battle it out. And can Joey Burrow, the stone cold assassin, can he get his way into the playoffs with an amazing performance against a stifling Pittsburgh Steelers defense? And the Steelers are going to make their way to the playoffs, but they would like to prevent the Bengals from doing the same. Todd is out there. Let's put these up here. Maybe this looks a little better. Todd's out there, says audio is good. All right, Todd, thank you very much. JoJo is here, good to go. JoJo was a man from Tucson, Arizona, the Beatles said. Get back, JoJo. Here's a fun fact about the Beatles. Want to do a trivia question before the game gets started? Since JoJo is here, and the Beatles had a song that said JoJo was a man from Tucson, Arizona. What about a little trivia, a little Beatles trivia before we get started on the football game? Now, for those who may be a little younger, maybe you don't know, maybe not fans of music, there were four primary Beatles. Their names were John Paul, George, and Ringo. John, Paul, George, and Ringo were the four primary Beatles. Here's the trivia question. Which of the four primary Beatles got the most fan mail? John, Paul, George, or Ringo? Which of the four got the most fan mail by far, by the way? Which of the four Beatles received the most fan mail by far? You got your John, you got your Paul, you got your George, you got your Ringo. Which one of those four, let me know in the chat, which one of those four received the most fan mail? Let me know what you think. Put your guesses in the chat it up. Let me know. Jojo says, not sure if the Broncos lose tomorrow against Chiefs backup, so not good for Bengals. So Ton says Paul, Jojo says Ringo. They're doing the national anthem. Yeah, I don't know all of the playoff scenarios. I just know that the Bengals at least have to win this game, right? So if they lose this game, they're out, I believe. So this is a must win for the Bengals. It's not a must win for the Steelers, though they would like to win. We just saw previously that the in the previous game today, the Ravens knocked off the Browns. So that was a disappointing situation for the Jets or anybody looking to move up in the draft. The Browns did up and lost to the Ravens. Ravens continue on with their winning ways. 12-win season for the Lamarvelous Baltimore Ravens. And Lamar making his case for the MVP. We got another MVP candidate tonight in Joey Burrow. There's a number of guys that are competing for that MVP title this year. LaMarvelous Jackson, one of them, and he put up some more numbers today in the game previous to this as the Ravens defeated the Browns. So we only got two guesses. JoJo says Ringo. Todd says Paul. Now, if you remember, Paul McCartney was/is known as the cute Beatle when he was a young fella. John was known as the intellectual one. George was known as the quiet Beatle. And Ringo was sort of known as the extroverted party animal type Beatle. And in fact, JoJo is correct. The Beatle who received the most fan mail by far was Ringo. If you can believe it, the absolutely least talented musically Beatle got the most fan mail of anybody. You would think maybe Paul, maybe the cute Beatle, right? You'd think all the girlies would want to send Paul a little letter, a little love letter. Not so much. Not so much. They all wanted to talk to Ringo, and I don't know how much of that fan mail he returned, if any. But I don't know. But nonetheless, by far, Ringo got the most out of the four for the Fab Four, as they were known in the music world. So, a little Beatles trivia to start off the night tonight. As we move forward, we'll watch this ball game here now. So the Browns lost. That's bad for the Jets. We're hoping as many bad teams as possible can win this weekend, except for us in terms of our draft position. If we are um, concerned about our draft position, that is, then we want all the bad teams to win and we want the Jets to lose, and then we can move up in the draft. That's if we're concerned about moving up in the draft. So the Browns did not do their part tonight. They played Bailey Zippy Zappy. They played Dorian Thompson Robinson, known as DTR. And DTR played like a VCR. No bueno. Not looking good for those backups. So they really didn't have a lot of firepower going. They did have Elijah Moore on the field. They did have Jerry Judy on the field. They did have some, their starters for the most part. But the quarterback situation is the main problem in Cleveland, as we all know. And we'll see what they do in the offseason. It's rumored that they might be the favorite to pick up one Kirko Cousins if he's let go by the Falcons. Indeed, if they are uh, impressed enough with Michael Penish, they might let old Kirko go out on the market, save a little money on the cap, and just run it back with Miguel Penish, the Penix master. He's been looking good so far. So they might have their guy. So then the Browns might want to pick up Kirk Cousins as a low cost Russell Wilson type deal where it doesn't cost them much because the Falcons will be paying Kirko a lot of his salary. So they don't have to pay a lot. They have a problem with, of course, Deshaun Watson's contract. And so they can't spend a ton of money on a quarterback. So somebody like a Kirk Cousins that could cost them the minimum while he's being paid by someone else makes a lot of sense for them if they're going to upgrade the quarterback room from the likes of Deshaun Watson and Zippy Zappy and DTR, the VCR, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where he's rumored to be going. And the Browns, yeah, like JoJo said, Browns didn't even try to win. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the players on the field tried to win. But when you field such bad players, what's the likelihood they're going to be able to beat the likes of LaMarvelous and all the great players that they have on the Ravens, for example? And LaMarvelous and the rest of the starters played about a half, I think it was. So they got out to a big lead, and then you can't expect Zippy Zappy and DTR and all these people to really compete against a team like the Ravens in the situation they're in now. All right, so the kickoff has happened. So the Bengals get the ball first. So we'll see if Stone Cold Assassin Joe Burrow can keep his amazing season going. First play is a running play up the middle, goes nowhere, tripped up by the safety Elliott on the play. Nice penetration by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And it's an appropriately cold night in Pittsburgh as we sit here in beautiful Florida. It was kind of cold down here uh, today for Florida standards. It got up to maybe 50, 60 degrees or something like that. Started out in the 40s, which is low for Florida. But of course, that would be balmy for Pittsburgh this time of year. I guess they're lucky that there's no snow happening right now over there. But now we got Joe Burrow in the shotgun, 11 personnel as his receivers go out, throws to his left. He's got a connection with Gesicki. He's got a first down. Kind of an underrated player, Mike Gesicki. He's a good pass catcher. Never really been featured in the offense. You remember he started out with the Miami Dolphins, and he had a couple of good years, but then kind of fell off and been bouncing around. Now he's with the Bengals. And he's a good receiving tight end. Not going to block much. Not going to block much, but he's going to catch some passes. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. All right, so they got a first down now. That was their first down. So they're moving the ball here. Burrow working out a shotgun, throws to his right. A nice catch by T. Higgins. Wow, that guy has some hands. How are they going to let that guy walk? This dude is such a perfect complement to Jamar. He's just got hands that you can't, that are just so hard to find. This guy gets his fingertips on the ball. I don't know if that's a catch. Kind of hit the ground there, but looked like he had it. They say it can hit the ground sometimes, and I guess that's what they're saying. It hit the ground, but he had it, so it didn't matter. It's a catch. They're giving him 9 yards. But with hands like that, how are you going to replace a guy like T. Higgins? He's going to cost a pretty penny if he gets to the open market. They're talking about the Patriots grabbing a guy like T. Higgins for their young quarterback. Now here's a pass over the middle. Gesicki, another first down for 88. Want a first down? Go to Gesicki. The strange thing about the Bengals, of course, is not the offense. They're 8-8 on the year. That's strange when you consider they got Burrow, they got all these people. What's going on? Well, it's been the defense. And Lou Amarulo, Staten Island's own Lou Amarulo, the defensive coordinator, had been tearing his hair out trying to figure out what's going on with my defense. I used to have a good defense, and now I don't. So I don't know exactly what the problem's been, but the defense overall has been the problem for the Bengals, and that is why they're 8-8. All right, now here's a handoff up the middle. Now they're at about the 30-yard line of the Steelers. So they're penetrating this Steeler defense, which is very good in terms of points given up. They're seventh in the league. Their defensive coordinator is Terrell Austin. He's a guy that never gets any credit for the good defense because Mike Tomlin is a defensive coach, so his defensive coordinator never gets any kudos for how good they are. They all just say, well, it's Mike Tomlin's defense. All right, now Burrow again in the shotgun. Primarily likes to work out of that shotgun. Another handoff now, and the running back gets it to about a yard and a half shy of a first down. So it'll be third down and 1.5. That's Khalil Herbert, used to be on the Bears, is their running back, their other primary running back, injured for today's game. NY Jets super fan is in the chat. Good to see you, Super. We're keeping track of this Bengals Steelers ball game, Super. That's what we're doing right now tonight. So that's what we're doing. Now, the Steelers, this vaunted defense, not so far able to handle the stone cold assassin Joe Burrow and this Cincinnati offense. He gets it out to his left. That's Jamar Chase. Who are you going to guard? You're going to guard T. Higgins. You're going to guard Jamar Chase. You're going to guard Mike Gesicki. Who are you going to double team? Well, whoever you double team, then we'll just go to the other guy. In this case, we'll take Jamar Chase, put him in the backfield, leak him out over into the slot, and get one-on-one with one of your linebacker safety types or whoever number 27 is there, and wind up being Alex Highsmith trying to chase down Chase there. And that's no bueno. I guess 27 is a cornerback after all. But other than that, you got problems. You got matchup problems with these guys, and that's why they really need to figure out a way to keep T. Higgins in the fold, in my opinion. Jamar Chase out to the left again. Another completion for about 8 yards or so. So it'll be second down and 2. As Cincinnati is having no problem moving the ball against this good Steeler defense. And I don't believe that the Steelers have any major injuries to speak of in terms of, guys that they should have in the field. TJ Watt is playing. Cameron Hayward's playing. Minka Fitzpatrick's playing. Let me change this over here like this. So they have all of their people playing, I believe. I think Porter might be out today. And there's a touchdown right to Jamar Chase. 27, I think, has been a bad acquisition. I believe that's Dante Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, that they acquired in the trade that they made with the Panthers. They traded the wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, and both of those players have performed poorly in their new clubs. So that was a trade that worked out for no one. And Cincinnati gets right on the board. So there you go. Stone Cold Assassin Joe Burrow. That guy, he might be becoming my favorite player in the whole league. But what you're seeing now a lot with some of these guys, some of these quarterbacks, if you can get these quarterbacks stabilized in a position for 4 or 5 years, you're starting to see them put up some elite numbers, whether it be Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or even a Baker Mayfield, even though he's bounced around. If you can get these guys, even a Sam Darnold, you can make the case, get these guys 4, 5, 6 years worth of experience one way or another. And they start to put up some elite numbers as the entire game slows down for them. And some of these defensive coordinators are going to have to figure out some new things to do against a Joe Burrow or a Lamar Jackson or a even a Baker Mayfield. Look at Baker's numbers; they're crazy. Even or a guy like Sam Darnold when he's paired up with Kevin O'Connell. How are you going to stop these guys? What are you going to do? They're picking you apart. They're just seeing the field so well that whatever you're doing to them, you're not you're not muddying up their picture enough on the defense to confuse them, and they know right where to go with the ball, and they can just pick you apart. Super says, when I watch the Steelers, I wonder how we lost them. Well, we're a terrible team. That's how, Super. That's not too hard to understand. Um, our defense is terrible, and our offense very up and down and shaky and inconsistent. That's something we've never put together, really. So something to think about. I guess maybe it's self-evident or it's pretty obvious that if you can put the quarterback and a decent offense on the field for a number of years, you know, it starts to so like Joe Burrow started hot. He didn't, he came in and was great right away. But he's at another level now. Same thing with Lamar. When he started playing, he took a year behind Flacco, but then he got in there and he played well, but now he's at another level. These guys go to another level. That's why if we could get a young guy of some sort in here to play good enough to win, rebuild the defense after Douglas dismantled it for some reason this year, which I still don't understand. Uh, you just continue to build off of it. If you can be good enough to win on offense, even if it was perfect, like if you remember Burrow's first year or two or three, or even this year, like the offensive line has been a problem for the Bengals for a long time, and Burrow had a couple of injuries, one related to the knee, and he gets sacked a lot, but it was good enough. I mean, they made a Super Bowl. I mean, so how can you complain? And they've been a really good team, playoffs and all that stuff. So it was good enough. Was it perfect? No, but it was good enough. And that's a problem with the Jets. We can never get it good enough to where it's stable, and we got the same picture pretty much going forward for a series of years to where it can evolve and go to the next level. It can't even get to the first level. That's the frustrating thing. And we keep trying with these young guys. Go all the way back to Sanchez. We tried a number of young guys, if you recall. You had Sanchez. You had Gino. You had Petty. You had Hackenberg. You had Darnold. You had Wilson. All these guys could not be good enough to start with, so that we could justify keeping them around and then build off of that. Super says, Frankie, I don't know how our D went so bad. Last year I thought we were elite. Well, I told you, Super. We got rid of people who were good and we replaced them with people who are bad. When you do that, it gets worse. It's not hard to understand. Now, I also think there's an aspect to it where and it's mostly the defensive line. So the thing that we emphasize on our team is the defensive line. Because of how we're structured, the defensive structure says we must have at least 8 and preferably 10 really good defensive linemen. You cannot get by with 3 or 4. You need 8 or 9 or 10. And we didn't have that. We had like 2 or 3 this year. JJ got hurt. That didn't help. But you can't have, if you're going to have a defense like ours, that is the superstars of our defense, our defensive linemen, which I don't prefer. I would not do that. But if you're going to do that, then you have to have that many people, that many defensive linemen who are of a certain quality. And we didn't get that. Lakey Fotu was bad and injured. Solomon Thomas needed to be upgraded, and we went back to Solomon Thomas. Javon Kinlaw was mistakenly thought to be an upgrade. He was a downgrade, et cetera, et cetera. And then on top of all that, everybody forgets that C.J. Mosley was the brains of the operation and a really good linebacker. And he went out. He didn't play after week 5 or so. So between J.J. and C.J. being injured and then all of the downgrades in personnel, that explains it. And I think on top of that as well, most offensive coordinators now know how to attack this type of defense, and so that didn't help either. When they're going to know how to attack it and you don't have superior personnel, you're going to have problems. That's what we saw. Not hard to understand. Ooh, George Pickens. That's a late hit. That's a late hit, I think. They're hitting George Pickens out of bounds, trying to get him upset. Well, let's see now if the Steelers are going to be able to move it on this defense. Now, this is an interesting matchup here. Steelers have sort of an inconsistent offense. They're not an explosive offense except against us. Super, I just explained it. Um, we had significant downgrades on defense. So I don't know. I don't know how many times I can explain it. I went on Gunny's show and explained it even more in depth. Super. Maybe go back and watch that. Don't know how many times I can explain it, but now Russell Wilson's in the pocket looking to throw, and that's a sack from Lou Amarillo's defense. Oh, he's got to be happy about that. Now that's one thing that they've been getting is Trey Hendrickson. It, excellent play from Trey Hendrickson. So now they're going to have to punt. So now this is going to be an interesting matchup tonight. The Steelers offense against the Bengals defense. Can the Bengals defense stand up, or can the Steelers offense perform? They've been an okay offense, not tremendously explosive, but okay, especially when they have Pickens available, which they do tonight. So in that first series, no bueno for Russell Wilson and the Steeler offense and Arthur Smith. The other thing to keep in mind, Arthur Smith, of course, being mentioned in all the head coaching searches, including ours. Um, So, anytime he's going to have a national game, that's going to be something to keep an eye on because people are going to be looking at him and saying, should he be coming in here, whatever here means? The Jets, the Bears, Saints, all the teams that might lose their head coaches. And we're a couple of days now from what they call Black Monday. So we'll see if there's a lot of things we're going to have to keep an eye on in terms of head coaching changes. What we want is um, we want as many teams as possible to keep their head coach. So, in other words, we want Gerard Mayo to stay in New England. We want Antonio Pierce to stay in Las Vegas. We want as many coaches to stay as possible. We don't want any surprise firings. We want to have as few openings as possible. So that way there's less competition for the likes of Mike Vrabel and anybody else we might want. Uh, so that's really what we have to root for on Black Monday. Let's hope all these people keep their jobs. Gerard Mayo, stay right there in New England. Las Vegas, stay right there with Antonio Pierce. Uh, all that, give Darren Rizzi the job in New Orleans. He's already there. Just keep him. Why not? As we want as few job openings as possible. Same thing with the general managers. We want nobody fired because we want to have one of the few openings. But of course, probably not realistic. There's a lot of pressure on New England, for example, from the fans to get rid of Mayo. They're saying we want somebody with a little bit more mustard than Gerard Mayo. Uh, and the idea is the owner thought, well, we thought Belichick was going to be here for another year. And so he unexpectedly, we got rid of him a year early. So we started Mayo on the plan. They had this plan for him. We started him early on a plan, and we're going to go through a tough year this year. And everybody supposedly knew that, and it was okay with it. Well, the fans are not okay with it when the product looks terrible on the field, including and especially the defense, which has a lot of the same personnel, running the same system with Mayo. Mayo's the um, hand-chosen successor of Bill Belichick, running the same system, and the defense looks terrible and is ranked terrible. So that's confusing to the fans, and they could say, well, we understood there's a rookie quarterback, there's going to be some lumps on offense, but what's up with this defense? Why does it stink? So everybody's blaming Mayo. There's another pass out to second tight end. I don't know who that is, 85. So Burrow looks like he's starting out on fire tonight. 7-0 already. This is their second drive. First drive went all the way down the field, scored a touchdown. Uh, and then the Steelers came back and had a 3-and-out, puntadero. So now uh, the Bengals, again, starting out the second drive, they get 9 yards on first down, which is excellent. So they hand the ball off to the running back, and he cannot get outside and is going to lose about 2 yards. That play did not work. So that was good run fits there by 27. This cornerback apparently not good in coverage, but he's making good plays on the running game. So that's good when your cornerback can make tackles. That's excellent. Good job. Good job. Good job. So it'll be third and short now. Jojo says good amount of quality candidates this year. I don't know about good amount, Jojo. There's not really. There's Vrabel. There's Ben Johnson. There's Brian Flores. There's Liam Cohen. After that, it gets a little shaky. Who else you got? That's like four people. There's a throw to Gasecki for a first down. Super says the Pats have lost a lot of players on defense this year. Well, they really haven't. I mean, they lost some, of course. They lost Barmore and they traded Judon. Now they intentionally traded Judon, but it's essentially the same defense with a lot of the same players. Christian Gonzalez is there. Uh, the, their their linebackers are there. I mean, the main player they lost really was Matt Judon, but they traded him. They intentionally lost Matt Judon, and he's getting up in age anyway, and he hasn't been playing great for the Falcons anyway. So, not sure what a big difference he would have made. But that's what the fans are saying anyway. I'm not, I'm just saying. So there's a pass to T. Higgins, another one by Burrow. That's another thing about Burrow. He's also very mobile. So, the New England fans are the ones who know the team the best, and they're the ones who are hopping mad about it. And if they did lose a ton of players on defense, then the fans would be a little more understanding. Now, the Patriot fans are sort of like the New York fans and the Philadelphia fans, very impatient. So Joey Porter is on the field here in this game. I thought he was out, but he's not. So it seems like the Steelers still need another cornerback, even with Porter. Now here's a running play right up the middle, gets about 8 yards. So I don't know. Now the offense on the Patriots is another story. Just have no personnel on offense. I mean, they have no offensive line. They have no wide receivers. They have a decent tight end, but just one really. And so the fact that Drake May could do anything really speaks a lot, I think, of that young man. I mean, how good is Drake May going to be when he gets an offensive line and some receivers? That's a scary thought for the opponents of the Patriots. But the defense wasn't hollowed out like that. Now, yeah, like I said, they lost Judon and they lost Barmore to injury and stuff like that, but they still had the bulk of it. I mean, you had players like Keon White coming out and saying, "We don't know what our identity is." A week ago, Keon White, one of their young, very good defensive linemen, came out and said, "We don't know what our identity is. There's 1 week left in the season. How are you saying we don't know what our identity is when there's 1 week left in the season? You have the handpicked successor, Bill Belichick, running the defense, who comes from the defensive side, and that's a team that's had a lot of people coming back, including a guy like Keon White, who's a very good young player. Uh, how can you have a player like that coming out and saying we don't know what our defensive identity is? That's very disconcerting. That's very troubling. When you have defensive players saying that, that's a very troubling statement. Now, if they say we don't know what our offensive characteristics are and personality is, okay, then you'd say, okay, well, you got a rookie quarterback, you have no offensive line, you have no receiver. Of course, you don't know. Ramondre Stevenson started fumbling all over the place for some reason, which nobody can explain either, which is totally weird. It just all of a sudden starts fumbling. That would be understandable if the offense said that. Somebody on the offense said, "We don't know what our offensive personality is and whatever." But on defense, for the Patriots, that rings a little weird. That rings hollow and false. So that's some of the things that are fueling the rage of the Patriot fans. And I think the other thing that's fueling the rage of the Patriot fans is they know that Vrabel's out there. So if Vrabel wasn't on the market this year, they'd probably be a little more understanding and be like, all right, we'll just stick with Mayo. The other candidates out there aren't a home run either. So, we'll just maybe Mayo will grow into the role. They lost Bentley, Barmore, Duger, Jones, Peppers. Yeah, Duger. So Duger's been out in and out, but that's a normal amount of injuries. And then Barmore, Juwan Bentley's. These are bit players. Jones, Peppers. I mean, these are bit players. So And every team has some amount of injuries. We could say the same thing. We lost Chuck Clark. Tony Adams had a finger injury, and like, can we say the same thing? You know, Jermaine, Jamian Sherwood had to play with a cast on his hand a few games. Nobody says anything. Um, what about Lakey Fotu? I mean, Lakey Fotu would have made all the difference in the world if he would have been able to play. I mean, so there's going to be injuries in football. Nobody gets to have a full team. And when the Patriots used to have injuries on defense, never affected them much. So that's the difference. If you remember, the Patriots, no matter who was in or out of the lineup on defense, they always had a good defense. Whenever people would be out, when there was the Belichick defense, I'd be like, doesn't matter. The next guy's going to come up and they'll figure out a way to deal with it. So I don't know. That's kind of a poor excuse in my opinion, because none of those guys are really superstars, except maybe Barmore. So they finally get to Burrow. They did an all-out blitz, and Burrow was not able to get rid of it in time. Patrick Queen and T.J. Watt converging. He fumbled the ball. It looked like now snow's starting to fall in Pittsburgh. Snow starting to fall in Pittsburgh, and Alex Highsmith is limping around. Not good for the Steeler defense. But this is pretty much an all-out blitz. They brought more than they could block, and Burrow not able to get rid of the ball in time. I don't know if they called it a fumble or a forward pass. Yeah, that's a fumble. But the Bengals able to pick it up, and they're going for a field goal. So they're still in field goal range. So they finally decided, all right, enough of this Burrow guy. We need to all-out blitz him, and they were able to get home. They got a sack fumble. But the Bengals were able to recover it, and they get a field goal, and now they're going up 10-0. So it looks like the Bengals came to play. We'll see how the Steelers are able to answer this. Steelers, of course, have 10 wins on the season. I believe they're locked into the playoffs. I don't think they can get knocked out. But a 10-7 season, it's one of those for the Steeler fans. They're very spoiled with uh, in terms of Mike Tomlin. Even though he has a winning season every year, the Steeler fans say that's not enough. We need some wins in the playoffs. And 10-7 is not good enough. We want to win 12 games and 13 games and 14 games. Duger and Bentley are really good. Yeah. Chuck Clark's really good. And, lots of people are really good. So, yeah, we got to, everybody has to deal with injuries. There's no doubt about it. And injuries are definitely a terrible part of the game. But that's just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Everybody has injuries, got to deal with them, got to have depth. And that's why it's important to manage your cap very well. It's very tricky, of course. You got to pay your people, but you still want to have enough money to pay other people who can come in and replace those people when they get injured. Yeah, it gets a little tricky. Gets a little tricky. Nowadays, teams have no depth. Well, some teams have depth and some don't. I think the best teams do the best coaching, do the best cross training, and are able to withstand those injuries. It's a tough deal because you know nobody likes injuries. It's one of the worst parts of sports in general, and also one of the uh, things that is sort of like somebody could bring a lawsuit that probably wouldn't be successful, but somebody could bring a lawsuit, say, and you know, and say you promised me this product, which is all these players on these teams, but you're not doing everything within your power to keep these players on the field. And without these players on the field, it's not the same product as I was promised as a consumer. And you could say, well, what do you mean we're not doing all we can? We don't want these people to be hurt. Well, yeah, but you have stadiums that have artificial surface, turf, field turf as the playing surface, and we all know that's more dangerous than grass. Grass stadiums save you about 30-40% of your injuries on average. So you're not doing everything you possibly can. Therefore, it's a case of consumer fraud. Not saying it'd be successful, but it'd be an interesting legal theory to try out. to try to force these owners to deal with these injuries more seriously in terms of the field surface, anyways. So that could be something that's interesting. But otherwise, talking about injuries is very depressing. This guy was injured. That guy was injured. What about this injury? What about that injury? Yeah, it's true. And you could argue it all day long. But who wants to hear about injuries all day long? All right. So we got Najee Harris now running, and that's some hard running by Najee Harris. Looks like he's going to get a first down. So number 22 with a very nice run. So now Russell Wilson. Okay, so Russell Wilson's down 10-0. Pittsburgh Steelers 10-6 on the year. Bengals are 8-8. Now they're going to lean on the run game. It seems like a couple of runs in a row to Najee Harris. This one didn't get anywhere. Now it's going to be 2nd and 12. Second and 12 upcoming. Or they're saying 2nd and 11. So maybe lost only 1 yard on that play. So let's see if the Bengals can continue to have a good defensive day, which would be unusual for them in this season. They're a four down front running their base. There's a try for a little pass out to the running back. That didn't go well for Russell Wilson. 2 seconds left in the first quarter. 3rd down and 11. So now it's 3rd and long. Let's see what Amarulo wants to do. Does he want to bring pressure or does he want to rely on his front four to get home? And that one, Hendrickson was again putting pressure on Wilson, 91, and able to disrupt that pass out to the right to the running back. So let's see if they're able to blitz or if they want to blitz here on 3rd down and long, or do they just want their front four to get home? Now they got one linebacker in an A gap with a sim pressure. Let's see if they bring him or if he drops out. I'm going to bet he drops out. No, he comes. And here comes another linebacker. And Russell Wilson goes for a moon ball to Mike Williams. Is he in or out? They're saying he's in. There you go. Mike Williams, that's what he can do. That's the perfect matchup. Russell Wilson and Mike Williams. Let's see. Yeah, I think he got it. That's what Mike Williams can absolutely do. You throw him a moon ball, he gets his toes in bounds, and you keep the chain moving. Great acquisition by the Steelers, of course, from the Jets. And that's the end of the first quarter. So Amarulo's got to be tearing his hair. He does a good job. Finally, he gets some pressure. He brought two linebackers, and Wilson goes to a safety valve. And that's the type of pass that I think the Steelers were envisioning when they acquired Mike Williams from the Jets. Like, let's pair up Russell Wilson, the moonball thrower, with Mike Williams, the moonball catcher. It's a perfect matchup. You know, the 50-50 ball catcher, Mike Williams, paired up with the moonball thrower, Russell Wilson. It's a good pairing and bailed them out right there. So that's, I think, what they were envisioning when they acquired Mike Williams from the Jets. So that's what the Steelers and Steeler fans would like to see more of out of Mr. Mike Williams. And that's what we got going on in this ball game. But let's see how the Cincinnati defense is able to handle the um, Pittsburgh offense. Can they continue to hold them down? Seems like Cincinnati offense is holding up their end of the bargain. You wonder if Pittsburgh's going to have to continue to bring exotic blitzes to get Burrow out of his comfort zone because seems to be the only way to do so these days. Hope you can get home before he releases it. That's what Cincinnati was trying to do there, but Wilson was able to hang in the pocket for long enough, get it up to Williams, and they got a completion at the end of the first quarter. Down 10 points at home, but that's going to be the battle. And they're showing now Mike Williams against the cornerback Jay Newton, but it doesn't really matter who the cornerback is. This is what Mike Williams does. He just goes up, uses his height and hands, and boom. Very good at that. One, two. I think he's got it, no question. I think it's not even a question. Good old red line Mike Williams. Good job by the red line man. Not good enough for Aaron Rodgers, but good enough for Russell Wilson, that's for sure. Now they're going with a two tight end set, including Muth on the move, right to left. Here's a, this is actually 13 personnel. That's big personnel as they go for the run for Mr. Warren, taking Najee out for a break. As they go 13 personnel, they run it up the middle on this Bengal defense. PC says if Steelers win, they definitely go to Texas. If they lose, they might be sent to Ravens. So they definitely want to win then, because they don't want to play. Nobody will want to play the Ravens, that's for sure. All right. Now Pittsburgh has 12 personnel on the field, and there's a run to the right. Warren again, only a yard there. So far, the Bengal defense, aside from that one pass down the sideline, has been holding up pretty well. They got a punt on the first drive, and now here um, they got him on third and long again, and they had him third and long in that previous series, and they were able to find Williams down the right sideline. So let's see if Amarulo dials up some pressure again, or if he relies on his 4 down, 7 in coverage. Seems like he wants to bring pressure. He's got a linebacker up the line of scrimmage. Now he's bringing a defensive back as well. And Wilson not able to complete with Fryermuth, but there's a flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Got to call a flag. Let's see about this flag here. Cam or Taylor, yeah, getting that hand across the back. Seemed like he moved the left arm of Fryermuth, and that's what got him called just a little bit. It was otherwise really good coverage, but he had his arm wrapped around him, so they called it kind of ticky tack. But sometimes they call that one, sometimes they don't. But he had his arm around, looked like he was barring the left arm of Fryermuth, and that's what got the call. All right, so this drive will continue. So again, two third and longs that the Bengals were able to get them into, only to have the Steelers convert. And now on first down, they get a hard run by Najee for about 12 yards. So Najee back in the game with 12 personnel, good blocking, big hole, and takes advantage. Very nice by number 22. So now they're in 11 personnel, and Wilson under center gives the ball to Naj, and 3 or 4 yards as he leaps forward. So giving him a good dose of the run game, keeping him honest, and don't want to put too much on Russell Wilson's plate. And they're showing a graphic about Najee Harris rushing yards, 1,000 yards each of the last 4 seasons. All right, now we're in, well, this is 12 personnel. And now Wilson's in the shotgun, 2nd and 7. And from the shotgun, he hands it to Najee, who gets about 6 yards. So it's going to be 3rd and 1. Not sure what Wilson's pointing to there, but going to be third down. That's not a first down, Russell. 3rd down and 1. You're close, but you're not there yet, sir. Still have to get to the line to gain. 3rd down and 1, and you anticipate they're probably going to bring in their big personnel and try to smash you right in the mouth. I would think. Indeed, they do. And in fact, they do a quarterback sneak with Wilson. Looks like he got it. So it should be 1st and goal here. Yep. 1st and goal for the Steelers. So this is the first drive where the Steelers have been able to convert a few first downs. They were able to get a big pass on the right sideline to Mike Williams. Then on 3rd and long, they were able to get a pass interference call on a pass to Fryermuth. Now they get it on 3rd and short with a quarterback sneak as Wilson's able to plow forward for the first down. So first and goal as Pittsburgh tries to get back into this ball game. They got 12 personnel on the field now, including the big tight end Washington. He's their big blocking tight end. Usually catches a few passes, but this play does not look good. Najee Harris flushing it to the outside gets maybe half a yard on the play. So that play looked bad from the start. It looked like there was a lot of penetration by the Cincinnati defense on that one right from the start. This play also looks disjointed. Not sure what's going on with these snaps, but another running play. They only got a couple of yards, so now it'll be third and goal. So again, this has been consistent on this drive where Cincinnati's played well on the first two downs, but then on third down, Wilson's been able to convert. Let's see if he's able to do it here. If he's not, I would anticipate a field goal try by Tomlin just to get some points on the board. But most likely, I would anticipate a pass here. You got Pickens on the field. Let's try to utilize perhaps George Pickens, though they're in 12 personnel with the two tight ends split out wide and the two wide receivers in. Now, that was a very strange pass. So we're going to throw a fade to Washington. Now there's a flag, late flag. They're calling a pass interference here. Late pass interference defense. Now you didn't need to do that, even if he did. Second of all, we got to get some consistent rulings on these pass interference calls. Let's see if he did commit the penalties. Got hands on. Uh, to me, that's he's got his. Nah, to me, that's not a pass interference. I don't know. He's got his hands on his arm there, but he lets it go. The throw's over his head. I guess you could say it was impeding his way to the ball. Ticky tack again. So a couple of ticky tack, but you got to keep your hands off. They're calling these DPIs way too much in general in football. Like nobody knows what DPI is anymore. I don't think you can put your hands on a guy at all. So, well, that's unfortunate for the Bengals defense. That's twice that the defense, the Steelers offense got bailed out by DPI calls. Kind of ticky tack for both of them, but you could call it. There was contact, and there's just inconsistency in those calls of DPI. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. I think if you have inconsistency, that's a problem. But of course, the NFL doesn't think so because nobody's going to stop watching football games because of inconsistent DPI calls. Tell you that much. So it's a touchdown after Najee runs it in. But it was a kind of a weird play call. Let's throw a fade to our blocking tight end. Didn't love the play call by Arthur Smith, or the decision, I should say, by Russell Wilson, where it was an interesting 2-by-2 formation where you had the slots filled by the wide receivers and the flanker positions filled by Fryermuth and Washington, the tight ends. So interesting formation. They got what I guess they wanted, which was the big, tall Washington. Now he is tall; he's like 6'8" or 6'9", very tall. So I guess they were just trying to get that matchup because he went right to it. You saw they got the one-on-one. So I guess that's what they were trying to get, and they figured, well, Washington's big and tall; he can go up and get it. And we'll never know because of the DPI call. I don't think the DPI really impeded him, but you could see he had his hands on him. So that's what they wanted to call. That's what they wanted to call. So it's a touchdown, 10-7 now. Um, and we'll see how the Bengals respond. But overall, I would say it's not bad defense by the Bengals here. They got two DPI calls that bailed out the Steelers' offense on that drive. They got a moon ball to Mike Williams, which is going to happen. And that's why he's there. That's his whole. That's his whole thing. That's what he does. So not terrible. Not terrible. Might want to do a better job on stopping the run. They've had some big runs, although they've stuffed them a couple of times as well. So that's where we are. 10-7 Bengalis over the Steelers on a Saturday night football game. Saturday night football game. Trying to see if Joe Burrow can sneak his way somehow into the playoffs this year. Their season started off so poorly, record wise, and he's had such an incredible year. Can they sneak into the playoffs? Well, they're going to need to win this ball game, and then I think they need some help. But at the very least, they need to win this game. And now one of their offensive linemen, Cody Ford, is questionable to return, though he's got his helmet on. He looks okay-ish. So if he were to go out, though, that would be a big blow for them. Somebody rolled up on his ankle, so that's no bueno. But if they're going to start losing offensive linemen, that's going to make their life worse. So I guess they took out Amarius Mims. If you remember, they drafted him in the first round last year. And now there's a nice kick return all the way out to the 44-yard line or so. But it looks like Ford is going to come back in the game, so not injured so much as to keep him out. So he's able to return. He's played left tackle, right tackle, and left guard for them. So versatile player. PC says it would be an epic sneak. Yeah, would be an epic sneak into the playoffs by Joey Burrow, stone cold assassin. All right. So they start out about the 44-yard line. Good field position here. I think there's a flag on this play, as it's a running play for about 4 or 5 yards, but there's a flag. More flags. That's what we need. More freaking flags. Nope. Offsides on the defense. So be first and 5, guess. Highsmith somehow offside. Oh, yeah, there he goes. Jumped a little early, 56. You jumped a little early. So first and 5 now. They're already around midfield. So this is not what the Steelers would like to have happen. Now, they were able to get a touchdown, so um, they're only down 3 at the moment, but excellent field position, and Cincinnati's been able to move the ball very well so far in this game. Burrow in the shotgun again, looks over the middle, throws. Oh, that should have been completed. Yosevich, Yisevich, Yasevich, whatever his name is, should have caught the pass. Number 80 is in the slot. Just a nice dig route right there. I was a little behind him, but still should have had it. Hit him in both his hands. Got his hands up. Yosivas was a little too late. Got to catch that 80, even though it's a little behind you. You got to catch it. Let's go now. You're a professional, young man. This isn't high school anymore. All right, now they're putting the running back in close to the line of scrimmage to help out with the blocking scheme here. They get it out quickly to Gesicki, and he's able to work his way to a first down. So again, they're moving the ball, getting a lot of first downs, sometimes going to Gesicki when they need a first down. You're going to pay so much attention to Chase and so much attention to Higgins. Okay, we'll use Gesicki. We'll even use Yosevich if he figures out how to catch the ball. But Gesicki is a very good receiving tight end, so might as well use him if need be. We got Chase, we got Higgins, we got people all over the place here. All right, Bengals hand it off now to the running back, and Khalil Herbert will make 2 or 3 yards on first down. So nice job on that one. They're showing TJ Watt on Cody Ford. Watt really should be able to dominate that matchup. And although he's been getting close to Burrow, Burrow's been getting the ball out very quickly, not enabling Watt to have an impact on this game so far. Now they have four receivers out wide. It's 11 personnel. One of those receivers is a tight end, Gasecki. And from that, they run Khalil Herbert, and Herbert only able to make about 3 yards. Now it'll be third and medium to longish, 6 or 7 or so. See if they'll be able to convert this third down. Now they've been doing a good job converting third down so far. Corey Trice Jr. Oh, that was Trice. I was saying that's Dante Jackson. It's not. It's Corey Trice. I don't know who that guy is. They're probably going to pick on him. Yeah, I don't even know who that is. Who's Corey Trice? Anybody know? Anybody heard of this guy, number 27? Seems like they're picking on him. All right, Burrow now back to pass, throws it underneath to Herbert. Can he make a move? No, he cannot. He's about 1 yard short of the first down. That's a nice tackle by Joey Porter Jr. Nice job, 24. Now they're going to go for it on fourth down. It's 4th and 1. Looks like they will go for it. That would be the recommendation for where they are on the field and with the offense that you do have with Burrow. Right, Herbert is their primary back in this game due to injury. And of course, they got rid of Joe Mixon for some reason in the offseason. He had a really big, nice year for the Texans this year. All right, Burrow in the shotgun on fourth down. Ball's tipped and incomplete. So the Steelers able to hold on. And this is kind of what the Steelers do. They hang around, they hang in there, they get a key stop when they need it. They get Cam Hayward to put his big paws in the air, his big mitts up and block it in your face and stall you out. And now there you look at the scoreboard, and even though the Bengals have been dominating this game for the most part, they're only up 3 points and could easily be overcome on this drive if need be, by Russell Wilson and the Steeler offense. So this is just a very uh, characteristic game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, you may seem like you're getting the best of them, but they'll hang in there, hang around, hang around, hang around, and then you know, at some point they might punch it in. Some point you might make a mistake. Some point you might get a special teams play, so on, and boom, Steelers win. That's how they do it. That's how they do it there in Pittsburgh. That's how they do it. Got to respect it. A win's a win. After all, you got to respect it. A win's a win. A win's a win's a win as we continue live streaming on a Saturday night. It's a new year. It's 2025. It's a new year, but for the Jets, it's the same old circus that we've been all been living through for the past 50 years. So even though it's a new year, and even though the playoffs are coming up, the Jets are looking for a new head coach. They're looking for a new GM. They're going to be interviewing Rex Ryan next week. They're going to be we'll see what happens on Monday and see how many openings there are in the NFL as Black Monday comes and goes. But after this week, they're going to be interviewing people in Palm Beach, we learned, because that's where Woody actually lives. So Woody Johnson doesn't even live in New Jersey, really. His primary residence is down here in Florida. Um, and so, but here we are with the New York Jets who play in New Jersey and the owner lives in Florida and all of this. Salami says Chiefs will be resting some starters, so Broncos have a good chance to win at home. A-Rod and Ulbrich probably last game. I expect Jets to play for a win, and Finns have no tuna. Well, the players are always playing for a win, and the coaches. So that's never the case. I mean, when a team looks like they're not trying, it's usually because they don't have good players on the field. They're just not good enough. So we'll be playing for a win, and so will the Dolphins. And question is, who's going to play better? Yeah, no, Tua is a big problem, but they do have Snoop Huntley, who's better than Skylar Thompson. So, you know, Snoop Huntley is a guy who can do some things. He's played some decent ball, at least in the league. He used to be with the Ravens, if you remember. So yeah, no Tua, and they may not have Waddle either. Waddle has some sort of knee injury, I believe, but he may play, may not play. I'm not sure. And also Teron Armstead. Armstead's in and out of the lineup for them. He's a key player. And 3rd and 3, not able to complete to Van Jefferson. So now the Steelers are going to have to punt. There's another. So this is just another example where all of the drives, except for one by the Steelers, have not gone very well. And yet they're within 3 points of the Bengals. They've had one good drive out of three or four, and they're down by 3 points. It's total Steelers football. Now they punt it away. It's going to be around the 11 or 12 yard line or so. And so that's a nice punt. So 5 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the second quarter. And the Bengals, um, despite pretty much dominating this game, as it looks like that punt was partially blocked there, maybe. Um, Despite that, they're only up 3 points. They're going to get the ball back here and see if they can extend their lead. But this is exactly the type of game that Pittsburgh loves to play and is always playing. Salami says, "Sexy Rexy." Yeah, so Rex Ryan's going to come down here to Florida next Tuesday, apparently. And then I guess all the subsequent interviews for the Jets are going to take place here in Florida, Palm Beach, where Woody resides. So Rex going to have to come down here. And the other thing that's concerning, so who's going to be in these interviews for the Jets? It's going to be Woody. We found this out, confirmed by a number of sources. Woody, Christopher, Jaime, Jaime, and Mike Tannenbaum and Chris Spielman. So the 33rd team guys are going to be in the interviews. I didn't think that was the case. I thought they were just going to do the vetting and then hand it over. That's what Spielman said. Now maybe the reporting is wrong. I don't know, but it said those are the 5 people. And you notice Jaime is one of the consistents. So you can blame Woody a lot, and he deserves a lot of blame. You could blame Christopher, although not too many people blame Christopher. He's a very quiet guy, from what we understand. And Woody, when Woody's around, as opposed to the time when he was in London, Christopher takes a back seat to Woody, I guess. But Jaime is always around. Jaime is somebody who was with the crew that went out to California to talk to Aaron Rodgers. Why was Jaime on that trip? So it seems like Jaime, as president of the club, has a lot of power, and he literally gets zero criticism from anybody in the media, anybody in the YouTube community, anybody in the independent media. Nobody ever talks about Jaime El High. Why? Why don't we talk about him? Why doesn't Jaime have to give a press conference ever? Can we can we talk to Jaime? Can we figure out what's going on with him? What kind of information is he giving Woody? What kind of recommendations is he making? What kind of power does he have? But we never get to that point. We never know. It's just a mystery box because he doesn't have to talk to anybody because he's a president of the club, and that person, I guess, by rules of the NFL, never has to talk to anybody in the media if they don't want to. All right, we're back on the field now. The Bengals have the ball at the 16-yard line here, minus 16. Burrow back to pass, looking around, can't find anybody. Now he's going out to his right, still can't find anybody. And he finally drops it off to the tight end, 89, gets about 9 yards. And there's a flag down. This is probably holding. Usually when it takes this long for the quarterback to find somebody, the offensive line holds at some point in time. But we'll have to wait and see what they're calling here. Legal man downfield. That's another one that happens when the quarterback holds the ball that much. That's another rule I'd love to see them get rid of. I don't understand why they even have this rule. We need to get rid of some rules. We need a committee to remove rules that are unnecessary and stupid. Like, who cares if Karras is downfield? He's too. Look at that. What difference does it make that he was 1 yard too far downfield on that play? Made no difference whatsoever. It's the dumbest rule of all time. I don't want to hear it. I want to get rid of that rule. All right, Burrow back to pass, drops it off to Herbert, juggles, catches, makes a gain for about 4 or 5 yards. Nice catch by Khalil Herbert. Harlan Abraham is here. Good to see you, Harlan. The Bengals are leading the Steelers 10-7 as the first half winds down. They've got the ball, but it's way back in their own territory. So 4:33 remaining, 10-7 Bengals, second and 11 at the 15-yard line, the minus 15-yard line, that is. And Burrow now in the shotgun again with four wide, 2-by-2 formation, including the tight end Gesicki. Now he throws it out to Chase, who makes a play, gets about, oh, 8 or 9 yards. So there's going to be third down in about three or so as the clock continues to move. 4:10 remaining in the first half. Salami says, I mean, I think Jets may feel more motivation to win this meaningless game. Uh, Everybody's motivated the same. I think there's too much made of motivation. Everybody's motivated the same. Rodgers wants to win. Ulbrich wants to win. All the coaches want to win. All the players want to look good on tape. Nobody who's on the field wants to lose because, as they keep telling us, PC, in these press conferences, the tape is your resume. The tape doesn't lie. There's no context to tape. Tape, tape, tape. That's all they talk about is tape. Um, so the players, there's no player when you're on the field that's, I mean, very, very few that when you're on the field, you're going to dog it. I mean, it happens occasionally, but number one, you usually get hurt when that happens if you do it. And number two, it just looks horrible. There's very few professional athletes who want to do something like that. When you're on the field, you want to play hard and you want to win. That's a hold by Cody Ford there, just wrapping up TJ Watt. But anyway, they got another sack on Burrow. So again, Steeler defense holds now. So they've been playing better the last couple of drives here, and they've been able to get pressure on Burrow as needed and playing better. So now, oh, and there's a fumble on the kick on the punt, and it's recovered by the Bengals, who can now take over in Steeler territory, and they're already in field goal range. So that was a critical faux pas by the Steelers. Fumbalaya on the puntadero. Number 19, Austin, Calvin Austin. He's been a disappointment since they drafted him. And fumbles the punt. Let's see if somebody hit it out. Yeah, sure did. Not even a peanut punch, just got his hand on the ball sort of randomly and popped it out of there. And Bengals able to recover it. So now they're going to get it at the plus, about 30-yard line. So they're already in field goal range, even if they don't move the ball at all. And of course, they will try to move the ball as they get it back. First and 10, 2:46 remaining. Burrow 2-by-2 formation. They seem to like these 2-by-2s, though it's with, in this case, two tight ends. And looks like they moved. So it looks like it's going to be false start on the offense. So they got a legal man downfield, which is a BS penalty, but it's still a penalty as it's written in the books. And now they get a false start. So these offensive linemen not in sync in this ball game as their season is on the line. Harlan says most of the Jets players have given up on the season. Well, yeah, in terms of making the playoffs, but they're not going to like dog it on the field, Harlan. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Now they may perform poorly, and then people will think they're dogging it, but it's just poor performance. It's like I always think about now Burrow's back to pass out of the shotgun. They're trying to bring pressure. He can't find anyone. Here comes a defensive back. He better get rid of it. He does and completes it. It's like a baseball team. If you follow baseball, whenever a baseball team isn't hitting, right? They're just not hitting well. The fans always say, this team has no emotion. They don't care. They're dogging it. They have no emotion. They're not trying. Like the baseball fans always think a team that's not hitting isn't trying. Oh, they're trying. They just stink. A lot of fans can't distinguish trying and stinking. They're trying, but they're stinking. So it looks like they're not trying. There's a difference between not trying and just being bad. On defense, we're bad. That's just the problem. We don't have enough good people in the positions that we need them to be for our defense to work properly, for example. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the Jets game, but I would anticipate the Dolphins winning. I think Snoop Huntley is a good quarterback, better than Skyler, whatever his name is, Skyler Gray, the Thompson gunner. Um, and they should have enough of their talent on the field, I think, to win. Our defense is pretty bad. Then on our offense, it's like, well, our offensive line is hurt. Olu's out. We're gonna have Max Mitchell on the field. We might have Max Mitchell and Carter Warren on the field. That's gonna look bad. That's gonna be bad because they're not good. We need to upgrade the tackle depth on this team significantly, for one thing. So, you know, it could be a big problem in terms of blocking the Dolphins because Max Mitchell's not good and Carter Warren's not good as far as playing tackle's concerned. And that's unfortunate. I wish we could have developed them better. Those are two guys that a lot of draft experts said, "Hey, these guys maybe could become something in time." And now it's been time, and they haven't become anything useful. They stink. So that's a problem. You need to develop your mid-round players. That's another thing that the good teams do that the Jets don't do. You get these mid-rounders. Well, they're mid-rounders for a reason. But you got to be able to develop them. You got to be able to identify what can they do and what can we bring out in them. What can't they do? Let's put them in a position where they can help us succeed. And we have not had a good enough staff to do that. Now, admittedly, that's hard to do in the NFL. It's admittedly very few staffs are able to do it. But I think, you know, if you want to look, I guess one thing that nobody really is talking about is like looking optimistically at the sequence of the coaching. Like we went from Adam Gase. Well, that's probably because it's not linear. Like Todd Bowles is a decent coach, but wasn't ready to be the head coach of the New York Jets with our market, et cetera, et cetera. Then we went to Adam Gase, was a total disaster. Then we went to Saleh, and Saleh's a good coach, but again, wasn't quite ready to be head coach in this market without a quality quarterback. And then we had some unfortunate stuff happen in his tenure also. All right, there's about 2 minutes remaining. Uh, Now the Bengals are kind of having a little bit more difficulty moving the ball. Burrow's trying to find his tight ends and his running backs instead of going to his very good wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So that tells me that probably the Steelers are doing a better job in coverage on those guys, and he's having to check it down to tight ends and running backs. And those guys are coming up short of the sticks most of the times here in these drives, these latest drives. Whereas in the earlier drives, they were doing a good job extending the drive by getting first downs and so forth. So it seems to me Steelers are doing a better job. And let's see if they're able to continue it. Uh, it's 3rd down and 6, 157 remaining. Burrow wants to convert this. They'd like to take the clock all the way down and obviously get a touchdown, but also keep the Steelers from being able to run their 2-minute offense. Although from here, they would be able to try a field goal if they don't get any yardage here. They do bring a blitz. Burrow does not get rid of it. It's another sack and another strip fumble as these Bengals, there's a flag on the play. They were able to recover the fumble. Flag is for what? But the Bengals have not been able to deal with the overload blitzes of the Steelers on 3rd and long. In this case, TJ Watt was able to get home, but it was an overload blitz that enabled him to do so as they brought a linebacker from space and from depth, and Watt was able to get right around Ford again. They're calling a penalty on the defense, so it looks like that's penalty's going to bail them out. Holding on Corey Trice. Who is this Corey Trice? And they got him covering Jamar Chase. Who is Corey Trice? I'm going to look this guy up. I don't think you should put Corey Trice on Jamar Chase. That's probably not a good matchup. Let's try to figure something else out here. All right, so the drive continues then. 1st and 10, run up the middle, And Herbert's able to get about 4 yards. All right, so now they're chewing up the clock. Steelers have two timeouts remaining in the first half. I was able to get three. I'm going to look up this Corey Trice. Seems to be the weakness on their defense. Corey Trice. Let's look him up, shall we? Corey Trice played at Purdue. Uh, huh. All right, Burrow now back to pass, looks and finds. There he is, Jamar Chase for a first down, but there's a flag and they stop the play. And a little shoving and pushing and shoving. Trice is getting upset. Where did they get this Corey Trice from? This doesn't say. Is he a UDFA or what? Doesn't say anything about his draft status. Corey Trice, seventh round pick. Wow. So their starting cornerback is a seventh round pick. Hmm. Hmm. Gets curiouser and curiouser. Let's see what PFF thinks about his play this year. Seventh round pick starting for the Steelers at cornerback. It's either a great success story or a tragic or a tragedy for their defense. Corey Trice. Let's check him out. Doo-doo-boo. Overall grade 72.5. So I don't know, 6'3", 206, 72.5. Coverage grade 81.8. This guy seems to be good. What's going on with this dude? I don't get it. Seventh round pick. Seventh round pick. All right, now they got a 3-by-1 formation going on here. They're probably trying to isolate Higgins at the bottom. Nope. Oh, and that pass is picked off by the Steelers. Wow. Beanie Bishop comes up with it. He had a pick against us as well. Well, Burrow started out so hot, and now he cooled off exactly when you didn't need him to. Could have just played it conservative, gone ahead and gotten a field goal, but no, he wanted to push it. He throws the ball behind Chase. It's hit by Patrick Queen, and Bishop's right there to pick it off. Kind of a crazy interception, but the Bengals are having problems with the pass rush. Yeah, Harlan. Well, we do it sometimes. I mean, UDFAs, we developed a few of those. Tony Adams became a starter. Bryce Huff. Michael Carter was a fifth round pick, I think. Um, it's hard, but then you have people like, Zach Kuntz and uh, who's the defensive lineman we picked a couple of years ago, who had a great run to score. But those are the type of guys, those are the kind of hidden gems. If you can develop those guys, you have an advantage over other teams because it's hard to do. But if you're able to do it, if you're able to find a role for them, if you're able to bring out the best in them, then your roster is going to be just a lot longer than most teams in terms of quality players and what they can do in their roles. And maybe it's about finding the right role for them to do. I mean, you could say Herb Charles is a great story for us, for example. He's a UDFA that's now a special teams ace. So Irvin Charles is a success. You could even say Xavier Gibson is a success story for us because he's a UDFA who's our kick and punt returner. Now, he's not very good, and I wish they would upgrade him, but at the same time, he's played a lot of snaps. He's a UDFA, and we developed him. At the same time, we got third round picks like Jeremy Ruckert that we can't do anything with. We got second round picks that flame out like Denzel Mims, for example. So, but it happens to all the teams too. Teams have first round, second round, flame outs. It's not just the Jets. Happens to all the teams. Go back and look at any draft. It's kind of interesting to look. What was I looking at the other day? I was trying to find out what we could have done. Oh, if you go back and look at the Zach Wilson draft from 2021, that's depressing because That one, Chase could have had it, but it was way behind. It was a terrible pass by Burrow, but Chase could have had it, but way behind him. All right, so now Wilson, 110 left on the clock, and we'll see. This is what the Steelers do. They hang around, and eventually they see if they can punch you in the mouth. Then Wilson popped up in the air, not going to be able to be intercepted. That's just an incomplete pass. But, if you look at that Zach Wilson draft, if we would have traded that pick, which we easily could have done, we could have got so much capital. But then we could have taken somebody like Panay Sewell. Panay Sewell went seventh overall in that draft. He's such a good player. Oh, man, if you watch how Detroit uses Panay Sewell, we were watching it the other night here. I mean, it's amazing. They move him all around. This is a right tackle who's one of the best right tackles in football, maybe the best. And they move him around. They move him around the formation. Does anybody do that? Anybody else do that? Where they take their right tackle and move him around the formations? I don't think so. Very rare. But they do it with Panay Sewell because he's such a great athlete, for a man his size. And we could have had him. We could have had Jamar Chase went in that draft. Jalen Waddle went in that draft. We could have had so many people, and we got Zach Wilson. Now, Zach Wilson, in his defense, might turn out eventually to become a really good player. We don't know. But he was just so young and so inexperienced. We took a big gamble on that, and we lost. And obviously, we lost. Now, a lot of teams take gambles on quarterbacks and lose. It happens all the time. Trey Lance, even Justin Fields to a degree, Mac Jones, lots and lots. I mean, it's all over the place. Um, so it's not just us, but still, we could have just stuck with Darnold, traded the pick. That's going to be close to be a first down. Could have traded that pick and gotten so many players. I mean, if we just wound up with Panay Sewell only, as you know what I mean. Like if we traded back, I don't know where we would have traded back to, but depends where we would have traded back or trade back up. But we could have wound up with Panay Sewell, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. It's so annoying. But if you go back to any old draft and you see how things played out, there were so many mistakes made. And if you go past the third round, if you just go look at the picks and see how many guys you can even recognize, there's not a lot of them. You go by and you say, "Oh, this was a good pick," but then the rest of the entire round are people you've never heard of and who are probably out of the league. You know, third and one, they do a quarterback sneak. Now there's 47 seconds. There's going to be timeout. So one timeout, 47 seconds, plenty of time. Trying to get a field goal at this point. It has started to snow in Pittsburgh. As I said in the beginning of the game, I was surprised it wasn't snowing like crazy in Pittsburgh because it is January and it's very, very cold and snowy in Pittsburgh around this time of the year. One of the reasons to get the hell out of there. It's no good to be there. Uh, but some people want to live there, so I guess it's fine for them. But 47 seconds left in this ball game. So it's been a competitive game. The Bengals started hot, and then the Steelers started to come back a little bit, and especially on the defense, it started to stymie them on the D. And now we got a 3-point ball game. 47 seconds left in the second quarter, and certainly the Steelers could go right down here and kick a field goal to try and tie it up. Showing the replay here for some reason, I guess making sure that Russell got the first down. Oh, I guess it depends where he's down and where the ball is and all that jazz. He did kind of go down quicker than perhaps it seemed at first. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, go back to any draft, Harlan. Just look at the later rounds. Look at any of the rounds. Like go back to the 2021, 2022, 2023 drafts and go back to rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many of the players do you even know? I don't think it's going to be too many. Which means, most of the time these players are just flaming out. Keeping in mind, the average NFL career, I think, is 3.5 years. That's on average. So that means there's going to be a lot of players who have a 2-year career or 1-year career. I mean, you could say the fact that Zach Kuntz has hung around on a practice squad as a seventh round pick, who is sort of a tall, discombobulated but yet athletic tight end, and hasn't been released. I guess you outright. I guess you could say some sort of a victory, but I don't know. It's a rough business, man. It's a rough business. But if you think about it, if we were going to have if you think about the kind of coaching staff that we would want to have, right? You would say, okay, we want to hire Mike Vrabel. All right, Mike Vrabel is going to cost you a minimum of 15 million a year, minimum. That's for one coach. That's for one coach. Nick Shine is here. Good to see you, Nick Shine. The Nick Shine Show. So go check out the Nick Shine Show when you have a chance. Good buddy Nick Shine. Um, think about a coaching staff, right? We want Vrabel. Okay, well, if you get Vrabel, it's going to cost you 15 mil a year minimum, maybe more. And then that's one coach. What about the rest of the coaching staff? The offensive coordinator's a couple million, defensive coordinator a couple million, at least I think. Special team probably make a million. Then you got all the other assistants. Then on top of that, you're going to say, well, we want a development coach and maybe two or three development coaches to develop guys. Well, then you got to pay them. How much money are the Johnsons really willing to spend on a coaching staff as a budget? 20 million, 25 million, $30 million a year for these coaches? I don't know. Not my money. I'd pay it, but it's not my money. Yeah. Yeah, Nick, anytime hit me up on X. Anytime, Nick, hit me up on X. The great Nick Shine, everybody. The great Nick Shine. He got his own channel. He got things going on. He got people coming in, going out. Sometimes he does music videos with fellow fans. Sometimes he does amazing chit chat about what's going on with your New York Jets. Other times he's got music videos that he stars in with other people, believe it or not. I mean, he's got things, this Nick Shine, he's got things I couldn't even imagine how to do. I tell you, he got a music video with him and a fellow fan doing a rap video. Okay. I don't know how to do that. How he does it, I don't know. But he's got it. That's the point. He's got it over there. So if you don't know already, check out the Nick Shine show. Check out Nick Shine on here on YouTube. He's got things going on that old Frankie has no idea how to do. So check him out. You might get something a little unexpected. All right, so we got the playoff picture here now. Wild card Broncos in pole position, and then you got a couple of teams lurking, as they would say on the Pat McAfee show. They're lurking. 4th and 1, so I guess he didn't get the first down. And oh no, they spotted it wrong. What are you doing? No, no, no. They're saying it's a first down. We need a review. Throw the flag. Throw the flag, Taylor. I want to see this thing spotted again. No, no, no. Where's he down? Oh no, 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 no. Throw the flag. You got to throw the flag, Zach Taylor. Throw the flag. Can he throw the flag? That was poorly spotted by the refs. He did not make that line to gain. He did not make that line to gain. No way. No way. Oh, they're checking it out for timeout. There's no way he made that. No. Oh, maybe. Maybe because he didn't go down on the first in the first place. He landed on the guy. Let me look at this now. No, no, he's down right there. No, he's down. He's down. Nick Shine, want to make a rap song with me about the Jets? Can't throw the you can't throw the flag with less than 2 minutes. Oh yeah. That's a kind of a crazy rule. Kind of I want to challenge something. You can't. Why not? There's too little time remaining. All right, so they reversed it. Okay, so they made the right call. Okay, I knew they were wrong, those bastards. All right, now it's 1st and 10 for the Bengals. Now they have 48 seconds. So the Steelers kind of screwed that up. They couldn't make a yard to gain with 2 downs to go. Burrow now looking to pass. He's got Chase for about an 8 yard gain. So 2nd down now. Now, let's see if the Steelers are able to stymie him again. Burrow started out hot. The offense started out really hot. But then the last few drives, the Steeler defense has stood up and held them back. So they used one of their timeouts. They got one timeout now, 43 seconds remaining, 2nd down and 4. So they were only able to get 6 yards on that play. And oh yeah, that started with Fryermuth not getting the 1st down when he went out of bounds. Then they didn't get it on the sneak. Then they didn't get it on the run. So the Bengal defense has been playing well in this game, which is unusual for this season for them. So that's to be good news for Bengals fans. Now they're at the 32, the plus 32 yard line. Burrow back to pass, looking left, goes to his tight end. Sample, I think it is. And he's fighting, fighting, fighting. Looks like a 1st down, close to it. Clear the pile. Let's go. Clear the pile. Now, why is the clock stopped? It shouldn't be, unless they call the timeout. Yeah, sample is 89. All right, 31 seconds. So they did call timeout. 31 seconds. That's how the clock stopped. They have no timeouts remaining now, though. So they're going to have to be careful about using the middle of the field. But it is 1st down and 10. 31 seconds, no timeouts. They're in field goal range. They don't want to do anything too risky here, Burrow, like you did last time. But probably should throw some out routes, okay, to your wideouts. Ooh, that was a little That was a little risky, but T. Higgins goes and gets it. Again, T. Higgins coming up clutch with those hands. Great, great hands for number 5. T. Higgins snags it, gets out of bounds. So now their 1st and goal should be 1, 2. Yep. Should be 1st and goal from about the 7 yard line. Um, no, about the 9 yard line, I guess. But still, 1st and goal, 27 seconds. So now you got plenty of time for the yardage here. Just got to make sure if you catch something in bounds, you just got to hurry it up. Chase in motion now. 3-by-1 formation. Burrow looking right. Dumps it off. That is incomplete. That's the other thing you got to watch out for is this pass rush. They're going to try to overwhelm the Bengals offensive line. Once again, the Bengals offensive line is a problem. You think they're going to have to draft somebody this year, maybe 3 or 4 somebodies. Every year they say, "Oh, we fixed it. We fixed it. We signed this guy. We signed this one. We drafted that one." I guess Amarius Mims hasn't worked out too good for them. Uh, I guess they're hoping for development for Amarius Mims. He was a guy that they got in the 1st round last year, and now he's not playing. All right, so Burrow back to pass, looks over the middle. That's knocked down. So once again, the Steelers, they've had numerous pass knockdowns. That's a Cam Hayward trademark. That guy is just unbelievable in terms of being a good player, really good player, even now at this age in his career. He just never slows down, seems like. And one of the things he does, he gets up and blocks passes. One of the things you have to do if you see that happen, you have to punish jumpers. If you're an offensive lineman, you must punish jumpers at all times to disincentivize them from jumping. All right, 3rd and goal. Now Burrow back to pass, looks to his right, going for Chase. Oh, and he should have had it, it seemed like. I think he mistimed his jump. They were attacking Corey Trice again, the 7th round pick, number 27, with Jamar Chase. Had the matchup they wanted. Okay, he's got him there. Here comes the ball, and I think he just mistimed his jump a little bit, and it went right through his hands. So Jamar Chase, that's unusual. Can't have that happen too much if you're a Jamar Chase because you're supposed to be the best receiver in the league. You got to grab those if you want that title. You can't be letting them slip through your hands if you want to be considered the best. although he's certainly one of the best. There's no doubt about that. So a 27-yard field goal attempt up and good. So at least they were able to salvage a field goal out of all of that. Although a lot of mistakes, sacks, strip sack, fumbalayas, intercepciones, no bueno. A lot of things going wrong for the Bengals, but still up 13-7, unbelievably. Perhaps not unbelievably. This is what the Steelers do. They keep you in a fight. They're going to dog fight you and dog fight you and dog fight you, keep you in a dog fight all night long until you finally cry uncle, and then they're able to pull it out in the end. And with this kind of offensive production, now you can see Russell Wilson not exactly lighting it up. And he's had a good season for the Steelers. Obviously, they've won 10 games. If they pull this one out, they will have won 11 games, though he didn't start all of them. But still, you wonder, are they going to sign him long term? Are they going to let Justin Fields go to the open market? What are they going to do there? If the Jets do not bring back Aaron Rodgers, then they would be in the market for someone like a Justin Fields. If the Jets elect to keep Aaron Rodgers, probably not so interested in Mr. Fields at this time, would be my guess. But all depends on the coaching and the GM that we select. But yeah, so let's say, I mean, you think about this coaching staff. Would you rather have a $15 million head coach and then we got a skimp elsewhere? Or would you rather have a $5 million head coach and spread the money around elsewhere on the staff? Let me know in the chat. Would you rather have the $15 million head coach, Mike Vrabel, or and then let's say we have a total budget for the coaching staff of 25 million. So then we got 10 million for the rest of the staff, however you want to divvy it up. There's a sack of Wilson as the offense continues to sputter for the Steelers. They're going to let this clock run out. So we're going to halftime now. It's going to be 13-7. Bengals over your Pittsburgh Steelers. But Pittsburgh receives the second half kickoff. They're still in this ball game, only down 6 points. So we'll see how they respond in the second half. Not exactly an offensive fireworks show by the Steelers in the first half, but you never know. They might come out with such a fireworks show in the second half. But if you're the Jets, let's say you have a $25 million per year budget for your coaching staff. Would you rather have the $15 million head coach and then spread 10 million around? Or would you rather have a $5 million head coach? That would be your first time head coach, Aaron Glenn, Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson type. They're going to get 5, 6, something like that. And then spread the rest of the 20 million around to the rest of the coaching staff. Which one would you rather have? Let me know in the chat. I don't think I can do from Restream. I don't think I can do a poll. Can I do a poll? Anybody know? Anybody use Restream? Can I do a poll in Restream? I don't think I can. I don't see any way to do it. Captions, design, music, notes, chat. You know, they really should implement a polling functionality here. Anything they have in YouTube, they should have it in Restream. Design. Our Biv says, I'll take the 15 mil head coach. I'll take Vrabel and Todd Downing as OC. Okay. So that's one way to do it. So basically putting all your chips in the Vrabel, on the Vrabel side of the table, so to speak. And then you're getting lesser of an OC and lesser of a DC. Now you could say, well, we're going to still pay well for the OC and DC, but all the assistants are going to be, lower level. We're not going to pay well. We're not going to pay a lot of money for our assistant coaches and the running back coach and all that. Okay. All right. Could do that. I think at this point, probably everyone's going to say, if I was able to do a poll, everyone would probably say Well, the $15 million, because that means we get Vrabel, and everybody wants Vrabel. I guess I'd probably have to use more specific examples for the rest. Said our business, Todd Downey's done a decent job, don't you think? Uh, I would say it's hard to. I would say it's hard to make a judgment unless you're doing a full analysis on all 22, and you have I would say insider knowledge. We haven't been a high scoring offense, but there's so many factors that go into it. Aaron Rodgers, his health, what is he changing at the line of scrimmage? The wide receivers, are they running the right route? So is the offensive line blocking properly? Blah 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 blah. There's so many factors that go into it that without doing a full deep dive into the all 22, it's hard to say. And there are people who do those full all 22 deep dives. Jets X Factor does a good job of that, for example. But that's what you would really need to do to evaluate a Todd Downing or a Nathaniel Hackett or a Mike LaFleur or anybody who's the offensive coordinator. Something that's hard to even know, even if you did a full analysis on all 22 video. One thing that's hard to know is choice routes, for example. In a West Coast offense, there are plenty of plays that have choice routes built in for the wide receivers, which means the play does not tell them where to go. What tells them where to go is where the defender is that's covering them. So if the coverage is inside, you go outside. If the coverage is outside, you go inside, as an example. So how do we know which routes are choice routes and which routes, if they are choice routes, if the wide receiver made the correct choice or not? And then he has to be on the same page with the quarterback. So a lot of times when you see on the ball game, like on the television copy, when they say, "Well, looked like a miscommunication there between the quarterback and the wide receiver," what are they talking about? What they're talking about is the quarterback thought you were going to go inside and you went outside, and he threw it over here and he thought you went over here. Well, whose fault is that? Well, it depends. Depends where the defender is, what's supposed to happen on the play, what kind of choice you have. Are you mandated to go inside or outside? Is it a choice route? How many choices do you have? Two, three, four? Some plays the wide receiver could have four choices. And so, you know, it's hard to say. John Carmen saying Keith Carter most improved coach. And he's saying that because our offensive line was better this year. Well, is our offensive line better because of Keith Carter was improved, or did we have better people? We had AVT all year. Hopefully he plays this last game, you know. Remember, AVT has had injury problems. He's one of the best linemen we've got. Then you got the center, improving young kid. John Simpson came in. That's a new player that we didn't have before, and he played really well. And then you got Morgan Moses, who was injured a bit, but for the most part, toughest son of a bitch you've ever seen, and plays and is okay. It's not dominant or anything at this point in his career. And then on the left side, you had Tyron Smith, who uh, let's say fell off a cliff, but then was replaced by Olu, right? And we had Olu. We never had Olu before. So did Keith Carter improve, or did our players just get better because we had better players? So those are the things that is hard to know from the fan perspective. Um, Again, so you have to at least start with all 22 footage and try to determine it. But even so, it's relatively difficult, especially with regard to now you could do probably a pretty good analysis of the run game and who's missing blocks and why wasn't our run game better, and so forth and so on. I would have liked to run the ball a little more, but we were behind in a lot of games, and when you're behind, you got to throw to catch up quickly. Um, you like to throw to get ahead and then run it to salt down the clock. That's the ideal way to play football. Then at the end, it looks like you ran a lot, and everybody says, "What a great running game!" But it was because you were up, let's say, two or three scores, and then you could take, you could run it a little bit more to salt down the clock. But the running game probably a little bit easier to diagnose in terms of where was the blocking better, or were people blocking, or were there still missed blocks? And one of the things I don't think has improved, and this is just off of raw eyes. I don't know. You have to look at the all 22, like I keep saying. But like, oof, man, the Browns threw an interception to the nose tackle. That's hard to do. Zappy, zippy zappy, man. No bueno. Um, One thing that has not improved at all, which I'd love to see improved, and I'd love to see an emphasis on, is like the tight end blocking. Our tight end blocking has been terrible throughout our history here, through Middleton, through the first line coach we had, and those tight ends when they block, they're an extension of the offensive line. And one of the more exciting things that I read, and I'm trying not to get too excited about Mike Vrabel because I don't want to be disappointed. But one of the things he did as a consultant for the Browns, he worked with who did he work with? Mostly, they said in this report by Zach Rosenblach. They said he worked mostly with offensive line and tight ends. Offensive line and tight ends. That's who he's working with. Man, when I read that, I was like, oh man, this guy is too good to be true. There's no way he's coming to the Jets because he would be too good. Give me a guy who, when he's a consultant, I'm a consultant. I'm consulting. I'm coming into your team. I'm going to consult. Okay, coach, who you want to work with? I'd like to work with the offensive line and the tight ends. That's a man going after Frankie's heart. I tell you that much. He says offensive line and tight ends. That's who I want to work with. What? You don't want to work with our amazing wide receivers? Nah. You don't want to work with our quarterback situation? Nah. I mean, you're a defensive guy, they say. You don't want to work with the defensive line, the linebackers, the defensive backs, the coverages, the pressure? No. I want to work with offensive line and tight ends. That's who I'd like to work with. All right. Now, of course, didn't work out too good for them. It's not like they were some super team this year, but it just goes to show this guy, I don't know. I think he's got what it takes. And that probably means he's not coming to the Jets because, that's too good to be true. A guy who understands how important the offensive line is. Maybe Salah should have spent some of his time talking to the offensive linemen a little bit instead of just chiding them on Hard Knocks. Maybe coach them up, coach. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Coach them up, coach. How about that? How about helping out? When you're the head coach, a lot of times what you got to do is figure out what's going wrong and then spend your time there. If things are going good on the defense, okay, leave them alone. All right, where are we having a problem? Oh, we're having a problem blocking. Okay, now I'm going to go into the offensive line room a little bit more. Go into the offensive room, the offensive meetings a little bit more. I'm going to diagnose what's wrong, and then I'm going to, because I'm the head coach, I'm going to figure out where I am needed the most, and then help get that thing going. And then when that thing starts going, then you step back, go, okay, we got that on track. All right, what's next? What's the next thing we got to fix? You know, that's the kind of coach we need over here. And of course, that's Vrabel. And of course, he's the number one guy for on the list of almost all the teams, it seems like, except maybe the Bears. Bears seem to want Flores. We're reading now. Bears seem to want Flores and maybe Anthony Weaver from the Dolphins. Salami says, I like how the Cardinals used their three tight end set to pound the rock. Yeah, I love three tight end sets, and I love passing out of three tight end sets. So you pound it a couple of times, and then you fake it, and you leak out your third tight end for a touchdown because nobody's looking for it. So you got to be careful. Three tight ends, you bring in your heavies, then the defense knows, all right, they're going to pound the rock. So you better be good at blocking, right? So that's one thing. Like our guys, we can bring 13 personnel all we want, but they're pretty bad at blocking. So what good is it? Unless you're going to fake it, right? Um, so those tight ends have to be proficient at blocking. So to me, like Coach Middleton has not done a good job, in my opinion, simply because we've never had tight ends who could block somebody. Whether it was the group we had before the Conklin, Uzama, Ruckert group, when we had those guys whose names I forget, but they weren't very good. Then we said, all right, we're going to get rid of them. Let's sign Uzama. Let's sign Conklin. Let's draft Ruckert. Okay. Three new tight ends. Perfect. Great. Get to work, coach. Well, he got to work and they still stunk. So, I don't understand why Middleton avoids criticism. The man hasn't coached a tight end to block somebody the entire time he's been here. And then this year we got rid of Uzama and we used Yaboa a little bit more, but he hasn't particularly done very well either in terms of blocking. So, unfortunately, patron saint of Green Beans channel, Kenny Yaboa could have had a second touchdown if Aaron Rodgers could figure out how to throw the ball to him on not at his feet. Um, but still, we really need to, and maybe we just need to focus our priorities on getting blocking tight ends, either in free agency because they don't cost much. There's a low cost option that's really value additive if you think about it. Go get a blocking tight end or two on the free agency market. Not going to blow out your budget because they don't make any headlines whatsoever. You could get them real cheap, and they could really make your run game go. You could really make your run game go by sealing edges and so forth and so on. Steeler Stadium looking kind of empty. Not sure what's going on in Pittsburgh. Why this game? Look at this stadium. What's going on with Pittsburgh Stadium here? Why isn't this stadium filled up? Are they saying why on the TV copy? You would think I know from personal experience there's absolutely nothing going on in Pittsburgh on a Saturday night. I mean, except for the normal beer drinking, cigarette smoking, puking in the streets on the strip, but that's just a normal Saturday night. So there's nothing, special going on there. So why haven't they been able to fill the stadium here? I don't understand. All right, so Pittsburgh starts with the ball here in the third quarter. 15 minutes left, and the negative 30-yard line. They're in 12. No, it looks like 13 personnel even. They're moving one of the tight ends around, Fryermuth. The other two are on line blocking. Now Fryermuth goes to block. See, that's exactly what happens. You bring in 13 personnel, the other team, Salami, knows that you're going to run. So that's just what happened right here in this first play here. They're in 13 personnel. So then the defense responds with their big personnel, and they know you're going to run it. It's a perfect opportunity to fake it and then throw. But if you run, you better be very proficient at blocking, or else look what just happened on that play. Najee Harris lost 4 yards. Wow, they have number 15 in the game. Who's that? Who's number 15 for Pittsburgh? I haven't seen him before. All right, 11 personnel here with number 15 as a wide receiver. Wilson throws underneath to Najee for 4 or 5 yards. That's not going to get it done. Now it's 3rd and 10. I guess they picked up enough yards for the negative play. 3rd and 8, they're saying. All right, I guess you got a couple extra there. Harlan says, yeah, Ruckert got worse at block. Yeah, I know. Why? But why, Harlan? The question is why? That's what I'd like to know. And you got to put it on to Middleton, right? I mean, he's the coach. He's the tight end coach. Who else are you going to blame for that other than the player, of course? But all right, Wilson now back to pass, throws it out toward the sideline. Not a good throw at all. Calvin Austin not able to make the play. Incomplete. 4th down, Puntadero. Once again, this Steeler offense not looking great. Arthur Smith not looking wonderful. Had an open receiver and just didn't underthrew him. Could have had it maybe, but ball was underthrown a bit, I thought. So now punting again. Let's see if Burrow can take advantage of this opportunity. Yeah, so I mean, it can be versatile. I like it, but you got to be careful that you don't put yourself behind the sticks. That one play with 13 personnel right there with the Steelers ruined that whole drive. Put him behind the sticks, and then they had to do a dump off, and then they get an incompletion, and then it's over. So you got to make sure you have the right kind of tight ends, the right kind of people who can block. I'll tell you something that's exciting that the Lions do. So they take their guy, Dan Skipper, and I think they have another guy who does this also. And I think the Chargers also do this. And they just make him tackle eligible, which is essentially a tight end, right? They bring in basically an offensive lineman, a sixth offensive lineman. They say, okay, this is a tackle eligible, which is essentially a tight end, but it's an offensive lineman, right? Now you have six offensive linemen on the field. Why don't more teams do this? I love the idea of a tackle eligible. Now he's not going to go out for a pass, although they actually put Skipper in motion and make him go out for a pass once in a while. But even if you never put him out there, now you have a sixth offensive lineman to block somebody. You know, why not use an offensive lineman as a tight end that just comes in, tackle eligible, and just blocks? Like I love that. I would use that a lot. Talk about smash mouth football. Bring in a good old tackle eligible and then smash him in the mouth. You know. Now the Lions have a lot of versatility when you have a Panay Sewell. You can move him all around, and they do move him around, which is crazy. So that defenses can't just hone in, say on the run. They will move people around. They will throw the ball to Skipper once in a while, so you can't totally telegraph everything. But I would do a lot more of that. If your tight ends can't block, take an offensive lineman and make him a tight end, so to speak, and let him block somebody. Now, in the Jets' case, they don't have good enough backup linemen probably to do it, but that's why you need to get some. That's why these mid-round picks are so important. So you can get people who can do something to help you. They can do. Maybe they can't do everything, but can they do something? And then figure out what it is they can do. Like Dan Skipper is not exactly an elite ball player, but he can do something. And the Lions with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell and all them boys figured out, hey, this is a guy we can use. And how can we use him? Let's figure it out. It's like it's much better than him sitting around on the bench waiting for an injury. Let's utilize the skills he does have and help our team win. Maybe it's two plays a game, but if it helps you win, it helps you win. There's a nice pass by Burrow driving the ball into Higgins. That's what you want to see out of Burrow with the drive off of the back foot, throwing off of the front foot. Excellent job by the stone cold assassin Joe Burrow. Just an in cutting route. Oh, no, it's not. It's an in, then an out, then a twirly bird. All right. Sitting down in the zone, I guess. T. Higgins, 4 catches, 53 yards. Nice average, 13.3. 3-by-1 formation here as he hands it off to Khalil Herbert for 3 yards. And it looks like once again the Bengals starting to move the ball as the snow continues to fall in Pittsburgh, as it always seems to be. Arbiv says, where is Zaire Barnes? Zaire Barnes is on injured reserve, Arbiv. That's where he is. He's on injured reserve. Hopefully he'll be nice and healthy next year, and maybe he can help us. Maybe, maybe, maybe. But he's on injured reserve right now, so we'll see him back next year in training camp. See what he looks like, see what he can do, if anything. I Burrow now in a shotgun 2-by-2 formation, looking to his left, and he hits Jasecki for another first down. That's been a good option for him in this ball game. Needs a first down. It looks toward 88, and he's able to deliver on time on that one. First down, Cincinnati, and they're moving the ball once again. They're up 13-7, 11:57, and counting here in the third quarter as the time ticks down. Bengals trying to save their season. They're all the way up to 8-8 after a terrible start to the season. Trying to get over 500 and trying to sneak right into the playoffs if they can. Going to need Denver to lose tomorrow, and that's for sure. Now here comes a blitz. Burrow throws to the right. That's how you handle a blitz. All right, gets it to Chase for about 7 yards. He's down. Calm down, boys. All right, Jamar Chase gets up a little gingerly. Triple Crown Chase. Oh, he leads the league in receptions, yards, and TD. Let's hope that 17 TDs for Chase. Jesus. Let's hope that uh, Garrett Wilson gets 3 receptions tomorrow. Can we hope for that? The man has 97 receptions. Let's hope he gets 3 catches. Get him up to 100. Can we do that, A-Rod? Can we get Garrett 3 catches, please? Let's do 3 pop passes to Garrett. Get him up to 100. Let the man have a nice season. And there's a first down again by the Bengals, it looks like. Yeah, they're saying that's a first down. And now they're at the what plus 29-yard line. So they've been able to move the ball on these drives. They've had a few stall out with the interception on one, and then a few batted passes on a couple others by Cameron Hayward, and that's something that he does on a regular basis. But they haven't been able to cash in, and they have been able to cash in on a few field goals, but not any touchdowns except for the opening drive touchdown that they did get. All right, Burrow now back to pass again over to Chase, and that's a 9-10 yard gain right there. So Chase is just racking up the yardage, racking up the catches. That's a guy we could have picked with the second overall pick. Instead, we took Zach Wilson. Hey, everybody. Bengals need both Denver and the Finns to lose. Oh. So if they win and the Broncos lose, then the Finns control their own fate. And by beating us, they could get into the playoffs. Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But nonetheless, even if they just get to 9-8 and get shut out, it'll be a hell of a season for Burrow and the Bengals, at least on the offensive side, to make it even close. Everybody was saying, wow, look at this team. What's wrong with them? Let's fire Zach Taylor. Let's fire everybody. Let's get rid of everyone. And now Burrow's in the MVP conversation, especially if he gets over 500 and if they're able to get into the playoffs. But nonetheless, a hell of a season. And Jamar Chase, of course, having a great season. Here's an all-out blitz, throws to the right to the tight end. Sample gets a few yards. That's the right play against an all-out blitz. Don't take a chance. Get rid of it. Find your hot route. That's how you do it. But if you're Miami, let's say Miami wins and they get in. Well, and then they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Is it really worth it? Because Jalen Waddle's injured. As a knee, maybe he's kind of injured, and what's his name? Tyreek Hill has what I understand, fairly serious wrist injury that he's playing through. And Tua, of course, is injured, and so are you really going to make a playoff run with all these injured people, including Tua? It's almost. I mean, you can never really say this, but it's almost better for their organization to not make the playoff and get a better draft pick because their roster, it just has a lot of holes on it. They don't have a lot of depth. Their draft picks, their drafts from the last few years haven't been great. And one year they had like 3 draft picks in total, and 2 of them busted out. 3. Imagine having 3 draft picks. That's all you get. So I don't know, they haven't been the best at drafting. Oop, Burrow now looking. Get rid of it, Joe. Oh my goodness. He takes a lot of sacks. That's the one thing about Burrow. Offensive line, and then Burrow, and he's still on the turf. He's in some kind of pain. Hopefully he's okay here. That's the thing about Burrow, man. He takes a pounding. Jesus Christmas. Get rid of the ball, Joe. Let's go. Sometimes you just got to throw it away. This man got hit by 2 Steelers, including Cam Hayward being one of them. That'll injure anybody's body. Cam Hayward is a menace. Tell you that much. Nice guy, but he's a menace on the football field. He's a menace on the football field. He's a very large man. Imagine having not only that man, but another large man falling on top of you. Oy, that would not be pleasant. That would not be pleasant. Finns have the tiebreaker based on better conference records. So the Finns. So basically, you're telling me probably Denver controls their own fate, I guess. But if they lose, then the Finns control their own fate. And if they lose, then if the Bengals win tonight, then they're in, maybe. So Denver needs wins and win plus help. Denver doesn't need anything except to win. And Denver's playing Kansas City's backup, so they're probably going to win. So probably what's going to happen is Denver's just going to win and everybody else is out because Kansas City's not playing anybody. They're playing a Lodican or something. Who's a Lodican? Anybody know who a Lodican is? Anybody out there? Who's a Lodican? That's the starting quarterback for your Kansas City Chiefs tomorrow. Some guy named Alodikin. That's who's starting. So how good is he going to do against a really good defense? It's amazing. The Denver Broncos have a really good defense. Was it last year or the year before when they gave up 70 points to the Dolphins? 7-0 points. I think it was last year. And yet this year they have a top-notch defense. That's I mean, somebody got to be talking to Vance Joseph about a job, head coaching job. How about Vance Joseph? Can we get him an interview or two? Uh-oh, Burrow going to the blue tent. You never want to see a man going into a blue tent. That's never good. All right, but they're coming out for a field goal now. This would make it a 9-point game, so basically a two-score game. Yes, probably Denver wins and everyone out. Really, no Carson Wentz. They're saying a Lodican. That's what. Or maybe they called up a Lodican Salami. Because I think I saw something about Carson Wentz saying you got to take uh, you got to take advantage of these opportunities. Carson Wentz was saying. So maybe it's going to be Wentz for a half and then a Lodican for a half or something like that. Carson Wentz, well, and a field goal is good on the 35-yard attempt. So now they're up 16-7. So they've taken the ball down several times and kicked field goals. That's not what you want to do against the Steelers or on the road in general. You want to go into the end zone with touchdowns. But nonetheless, they're up by 9. Burrow's in the tent. Looks like he's in pain. Don't know what it is. Looks like a neck or a head or a something. Maybe it's his neck area. So we'll have to see about that. Obviously, Joe Burrow, one of the best players in all of football. We don't want him hurt by any means, or we don't want anybody hurt for that matter. Doesn't matter who you are. But uh, Carson Wentz, okay. So if Carson Wentz plays, I would say, maybe the Chiefs have a shot, especially if he plays the whole game. But they called up a Ludican or something last year. That yeah, Denver gave up 70. So think about that. I mean, Denver gave up 70 points. Imagine if the Jets ever gave up 70 points, and now bounce back just a year later, and they have like a top 5 defense. So why is nobody calling up Vance Joseph for a head coaching job? Explain to me that, Batman. Riddle me that, Batman. Why is no one calling up Vance Joseph? That seems like a hell of a coaching job. Swamp Ranger, the Senior Bowl? No. I don't think I'm going to no Senior Bowl. First of all, it's in Alabama. Second of all, what would I do there? You know what I like to do, Swamp Ranger? I like to have people, lots and lots of people who do this for a living, watch. So Russell Wilson's 5 for 10 for 51 yards. That's bad. That is bad. But Russell Wilson's one of these guys where he's having a bad game and then all of a sudden turns it around. So let's see if he can turn it around against this Bengals defense. And basically, almost all of that yardage came on that one play to Mike Williams, which was a 50-50 ball. Great catch by Williams. But I like to have all the other people who evaluate all of the prospects, have them do all the work. Then I just read what they write. Am I going to go down there and evaluate and do scouting reports on all these people? I mean, I could, but what would be the point? Now, Swamp Ranger, if you want to pay me to go down there and write up scouting reports on people for a website, then I'm happy to do it. But I'm not going to go down there for no reason. What would be the reason, Swamp Ranger? So Jeremy, I guess Jeremy and Dom C. But Dom C, like his whole thing is the prospects, right? He has a whole channel called Project Prospect. He does all kinds of scouting reports. That's his whole thing. That's what he does. That's what he loves doing. that's not nobody's paying me to write care about my opinions about prospects, and I already have a Dom C. Like Dom C already exists, and Dane Brugler already exists, and Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks and all these people who evaluate all these people already exist. What am I going to add to it, Swamp Ranger? Really, from a value? All right. I mean, that's cool if you guys want to do that. I don't have any problem with people doing it, but I'm just saying for me personally, I don't see what the benefit would be. I could get a media pass. Getting a media pass to the Senior Bowl is easy. I already did it one year. I wanted to see if I could do it. And they granted it. They said, "Yeah." They said, "Yeah, you can come down here." They don't care. They will grant a media pass to just about anybody because the more media for them, the better. For Jim Nagy and his operation there. Boy, Russell Wilson. I mean, if you were to watch this game and evaluate Russell Wilson, you would say we got to get rid of this guy. And in fact, this is what the Yinzers are going to say. What is going on with this guy, Russell Wilson? We're gonna extend this guy. That's what they're talking about in the press, in the media. Pittsburgh wants to extend Russell Wilson. He's like 5 out of 12 for 51 yards, and he got 30 of those yards on one pass to Mike Williams, something like that. This is and the Bengals are not have not been a good defense this year. This well, there's still a lot of football left to go, so we don't want to judge it. Salami says maybe you can go to the Senior Bowl and try to sneak in as a player. Well, I'd get my ass kicked. Salami, come on now. My time for being a player was 30 dang years ago, man. I was more of a baseball guy, Salami, back in the day. I was a pitcher, baseball pitcher in college. Do you guys ever get your name in the paper? I was thinking about this today. Do you guys play any kind of sports in college or high school or anything? And if so, did you ever see your name in the paper? And if so, did it weird you out like it weirded me out? See your own name in the local paper? Very strange feeling. So I can submit one with, yeah, just submit it, Swamp Ranger. Just say you got a YouTube channel. I think I said I got a YouTube channel, which I did. I had a Twitter account. I mean, you probably have to have a YouTube account or something. I had an account with, this was my old account, and but at that time I think I had like 2,000 subscribers or something. So I had an account, so maybe they looked at that. And I said, I'm Frankie from Flatbush, and I got a YouTube channel. And so it wasn't fake. I put in my real stuff. And I think I said I got I got a Twitter account, et cetera, et cetera. And that's it. And they said, yeah, sure, come on down. you know, but what do they care about that? I mean, the more press they get, the better it is for them. I would go ahead and submit it. What's the worst they could do? Swamp Ranger tell you no? That's the way I looked at it. I was like, well, maybe that's. I submitted a press credential request to the Jets. So some of the old time viewers of the Frankie channel will remember I submitted a press credential request to the Jets. And what happens with them is every week there's a game. They do it week by week. So you submit it once, but then every week they tell you no. Or in my case, they say no, you don't get any credentials for this game. And every week I would get an official email from the Jets saying, "Sorry, Frankie, credential request is denied." So, which I thought was hysterical, like that they're even taking it seriously. So, what's the worst that they could say, man? Just they'll tell you no. All right. So then they told me no. Who cares? Big deal. Try it. Try it. Just go to their website. There's a place that says submit your request. Submit it. Who cares? And if they tell you no, you go, all right. I was just trying it for a joke, anyways. Suffered multiple concussions and contusions. Who, Harlan? Yourself or Joe Burrow? I don't do social media. I'll just say, yeah. It's whatever they ask for, just put in something. Just say you're part of the Talking Jets team. Here's the web. Here's the YouTube channel. I'm one of the contributors to the Talking Jets. Whatever. Just put in whatever they want. They'll grant it. What do they care? Again, they want more publicity going to the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl is like a thing that they need to market. So the more people talking about the Senior Bowl, the better off it is for them. It's not like an exclusive thing where they only give out press credentials to 5 people. Oh, me, Harlan said. Yeah. I suffered uh, arm injury. I suffered little injuries. I wouldn't say little injuries. I suffered arm injuries from pitching, but I didn't get to play organized tackle football because my high school didn't have a football team, believe it or not. And my college didn't have football either. But I was more of a baseball guy back then. But it's a very strange thing to be in a small town to see your name and picture in a small town newspaper. I thought, especially for an 18, 19-year old, you know, it's a very strange thing to deal with ego wise. Makes you realize some of these big time athletes who are playing at real programs, how they deal with their ego is really something to think about because they're so celebrated. They're so talked about. I was just at a small time school in upstate New York that nobody cared about, but it still messed with my ego. All right, so Burrow's back on the field now, and they're going to lean on the running game here. They're up by 9 points, 3:52 to go in the third quarter, and looks like they got another first down. So Burrow, I guess, is okay. Khalil Herbert, 53 yards on the ground, 20 on the air, so he's been filling in very well for them as a running back. Man, it would be pretty disappointing for Burrow to have a year like this if he doesn't get into the playoffs, get them all the way there, get them over 500 after the way they started. And then if they don't, if Denver beats Kansas City or the Finns beat us or whatever, and they don't get in, must be very, very disappointing for Joe Burrow. Couldn't play sports after that injury. Yeah, and that's what it is with this football, guys, man. That's why it's like injuries are the absolute worst part of this football game that we all love. And it's one of the reasons why we really need to make a push for all grass in these fields. Pittsburgh has a grass field. Now, it's not going to get rid of all the injuries, but just to reduce it by 30, 40%, which is all the studies say it will do, is just one thing that needs to be done. And then all these helmets, hopefully the helmet technology can take care of some of these concussions. All the helmet companies are telling you that these future models that they're going to have are going to reduce concussions by a big percentage. You got to hope so. And then all the protocols that they put in place now as opposed to back in the day, because back in the day you just you know they would make fun of it when people got hit in the head. They would actually make fun of it, which is crazy to think about. He got dinged. They would say he got dinged. He got his bell rung. That's what they used to say. Remember that, Harlan? Oh, he got his bell rung. Did you get your bell rung? That's what they used to say. He got his bell rung. It's like the man has a concussion. He got his bell rung. He's out there seeing birdies around his head. You know, uh, we're gonna say he got his bell rung. Ha ha. Hee hee. Remember that? They used to laugh. Did he get his bell rung? Hee hee. Remember that? I always thought that was weird. Got his bell rung. Hee hee. Like that's how we're taking. I mean, he had a 300-pound man land on his head. You know. Ooh, there's a nice throw. There's a nice throw and an out route by Burrow, hitting Jamar Chase, who continues to pile up the stats on the season. Continues to work on the seventh round pick, Corey Trice. Not twice as nice, apparently. Burrow back foot hits, boom, ball comes out. Very nice throw to the outside of the field. Hits Chase in stride, both feet down. Bada bing, bada boom. Now they're at the plus 46-yard line as they try to get at least another field goal on the board, which would make it a 12-point game. But they really could use a touchdown. They only have one of those out of these drives, and a nice run here by Herbert as he's able to pick up 5 or 6 yards on first down. Jamar Chase piling up the statistics, having an all-time great year, 17 touchdowns on the season, in addition to tons of yardage, tons of catches, so forth and so on. Harlan says, was in a coma. Jesus. What the hell were you doing, Harlan? Took me almost 2 months to be able to. Jesus Christ, Harlan. Christ, I'm sorry to hear that, man. So, all you youngsters out there, if you get your bell rung, go out of the game. Don't try to push it. You don't want to end up like in a coma for a month, like Harlan, that's for sure. All right, so the third quarter is now over, I guess, and we're moving to the fourth quarter. Steelers, man, yeah, a game like this for Arthur Smith is not doing wonders for his resume. Though defenders of Arthur Smith would say it's Russell Wilson's fault. What about Russell Wilson? What about the offensive line? What about this and that and the other thing? But this type of performance in a spotlight game, although it's not going to prevent them from getting into the playoffs, worst thing that happens is they just have a 10-7 season. So people might also say, well, you got to look at the season as a whole, um, not just one game. But at the same time, their offense hasn't really been the reason why they were able to win 10 games. And, they were able to salvage Russell Wilson. Remember, Russell Wilson is the quarterback that Sean Payton couldn't wait to get rid of. So even the great Sean Payton couldn't make much of Russell Wilson. He was yelling and screaming at him on the sideline all the time. And uh, and then he takes two $40 million cap hits this year and next year just to get rid of the guy. So even Sean Payton couldn't make it work with Russell Wilson, but Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin take him, and he's a starting quarterback of at least a 10-win team, and if they pull out the win here, 11-win team. So depends on your perspective as to whether Arthur Smith should get kudos or boos for his performance as offensive coordinator for the Steelers. I think, too, a lot of these offensive coordinators, when they're in a good spot, like this applies more to Cliff Kingsbury, for example, because Kingsbury is going to be a hotter name than Smith. A lot of times, especially if you've made your money like Kingsbury has, like he did with his Cardinals deal, why would you want to move out of a good situation? I mean, not all these people, a lot of these coaches, they just want to coach. They don't want to deal with the media. They don't want to deal with all the stuff a head coach has to deal with, all the administrative bullshit, all the charitable things and going on the radio, doing extra radio shows and this and that. They just want to coach players and think about the scheme and et cetera, et cetera. So like at Kingsbury, why is he going to go somewhere? He's got a good situation where he's at right now. There's a back shoulder fade to Jamar Chase. Looks like he got the feet in bounds. Beautifully done by Burrow and Chase as they both continue to rack up the numbers. Great, amazing seasons. 1, 2, yep, he's got it. By both Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow continues. Here, now they're at the plus 22-yard line, so field goal in sight, but they really don't need a field goal here. What they need is a touchdown to really try to put the game out of reach of the Steelers and really secure this victory as they try to salvage this season. But offensive coordinator like a Cliff Kingsbury, like a Ben Johnson, they have it really good. They have their quarterback. They have somebody and a head coach who can take all the arrows from the media that they don't have to. A head coach meets with the media officially 4 times a week, every week, 4 damn times, including one right after the game when emotions are high. And the coordinators meet once a week with the media, and it's usually pretty light in terms of, it's not right after the game. Usually for a Sunday game, it's usually a Thursday when the coordinators meet with the media. It's 20 minutes a week as opposed to four times, and then other head coaches will do other media hits like local radio shows and so forth and so on. Then you have to deal with all the administrative crap that comes through your desk, et cetera, et cetera. Some of these people, they're going to want to stay right where they are. And maybe Artie Smith feels like Pittsburgh is the place for him. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury feels like, on a Dan Quinn staff, I got a good head coach. I love working for Coach Quinn. I got the young quarterback here. Looks like he's going to be a superstar. I got it pretty good right here. Why am I going to go somewhere else, like Chicago, and get into a maybe situation with Caleb Williams, for example? I already got a for sure situation with Jaden Daniels. Why am I going to go Caleb Williams and go into a maybe? I can just stay right here. I got Dan Quinn. I got Jaden Daniels. I got a lot of good things going on here. I already made my money. Still getting paid by the Cardinals, most likely. You know, Gonna mess around, leave a good situation for a maybe situation, just so I can say I'm the head man. Being a head coach, a lot of these guys find out it's not all it's cracked up to be. I really think that Robert Sala, for example, is gonna. Oh, come on, Burrow, get rid of the damn ball. He finally does, gets it to 87. Some of these sacks are on Burrow. I mean, let's be honest. He avoided it there, but he just holds on to the dang ball sometimes. Now this is an all-out blitz. They do it. It breaks down. I guess that one he did as well as he could. Found the man just in time. Hudson, I guess. I don't know who that is. All right. They probably need to keep the tight end in more often. Also, something they could do a couple of times. But a guy like a Robert Sala, I think he will be very happy to become somebody's defensive coordinator. Probably San Francisco. But if not, the Green Bay Packer fans are saying, well, if Coach Halfley leaves, we got Sala in the wings, no problem. Coach Halfley uh, is their defensive coordinator now. Their defense is playing a lot better this year. So people are saying Halfley's going to leave to become a head coach, perhaps. And then Sala becomes the defensive coordinator under Matt LaFleur, his good buddy. And I think he'd be much happier that way. I think he'd be much more effective and happier just as a defensive coordinator without all of the other crap of being a head coach. You know, there's a lot of other crap that you got to deal with as a head coach that a coordinator does not have to deal with. Grass isn't always greener on the other side, as they say. All right, so now the Bengals are down about the 5-yard line, 11:22 and counting in the fourth quarter. This could be the fork in this game for the Steelers. Now, again, the Steelers doesn't affect their playoffs or anything, but it's third down and goal. If they're able to get a touchdown here, then you would think it's pretty much putting the game out of reach, though games in the NFL are never out of reach, but making it very difficult for the Steelers to come back in this one, especially the way Russell Wilson has poo-pooed the bed, shall we say. Josh Allen, I think it's Lamar Jackson for the MVP for me. Oh, Lamarvelous. A lot of good candidates to choose from this year, though. And Lamar was able to put up a couple more touchdowns, 217 more passing yards, 63 more rushing yards. Boy, oh boy. Harlan says not all assistant coaches can make the leap. Yeah, but a lot of them want to, and then they realize, oh boy, I'm in over my head. All right, Burrow now back to pass, looking, throws over the middle, incomplete. Not able to put in the final dagger, and they're going to have to go for yet another field goal, bogging down once again in the red zone. So that's going to be frustrating to Burrow and the Bengals here. They're not able to put the final dagger in. Oh, that was just a terrible pass. What in the world? That was a Zach Wilson-esque bad pass. 3 yards behind him. 2 yards. That was Zach Wilson-esque, Joey B. What are we doing? All right, so here's Cade York on for a short field goal and able to hit it. So 19-7, they're up by 12 points. You almost wonder if they should have gone for it on fourth there. 12 points. Yeah, some of these coordinators. I mean, you're even starting to see it like the head coach who went back to Ohio State as an offensive coordinator, right? Um, what's his name? Chip Kelly. He's like, you know what? I want to be the OC at a big program with lots of talented kids that I could teach and coach up, at Ohio State. Uh, Being a head man isn't all it's cracked up to be sometimes. Let me just be a play caller, play designer. Let me coach up these kids. We get a bunch of talent through here at Ohio State. And by the way, for those who don't know, there's a kid called Jeremiah Smith who apparently is going to be the greatest wide receiver of all time, currently at Ohio Smith, straight freshman. So in a couple of years, Jeremiah Smith, everybody says he's going to be the best wide receiver ever. So something to watch. But Ohio State, gets all this talent on offense all the time. So let me coach up. Some people just love coaching, love the teaching aspect of it. Let me just coach up these kids. I just want to see them get better. Let me work with these guys on a daily basis to improve their lives and improve their uh, vocation for some of them, not all, but for Ohio State, a large percentage of them will go on to make a living for some years, anyways, in the league. So that's some people just want to do that. They don't want all the pressure of the stupid media. I think a lot of it has to do with the media, really. All this gotcha stuff that goes on in the media, really. So they got some playoffs coming up. Of course, the Jets will not be participating once again, but I'm thinking on this channel maybe we'll watch some playoff games if you guys think that'd be a good idea. Let me know if you want to do some watch parties for the playoffs. Playoffs, yeah, the playoffs. Acrisure Stadium on the north side. See, in Pittsburgh, you got to know about the north side and the south side. I used to live on the south side. That's how they say it. South side. Got to know about the north side and the south side. That's what the Yinzers got to. That's how they say it. Eminem's contract in Dallas ends Jan 15th, so we may not know about his or Dallas job status for a while. Yeah, I mean, they may come out and say, well, I mean, if it's Black Monday and they fire him, we'll know then. But they may come out and say on Jan 7 or 8, we're extending Coach McCarthy to blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, it's going to be, I mean, January is going to be a kind of a crazy month, as it always is. I mean, the NFL cycle, the NFL train doesn't stop until really when the Super Bowl is over. And then there's that lull for free agency. And then there's free agency. Then there's a little bit of a lull before the draft, like a couple weeks before the draft. There's a little lull. Then there's the draft. Then there's a pretty substantial lull from the draft until training camp, I would say. All right, let's see what Russell Wilson can do. He's down 12 points. He got 10:45 on the clock. Uh, he's about 5 out of 13 or something like that on the game. All right, now looking to his right, throws almost picked off, but the catch is made by Van Jefferson. There's a guy who His name doesn't get called very often. Van Jefferson used to be on the Rams, of course. He's now on the Steelers and not making a big impact. Now they're in their hurry up. Of course, they're down 12, fourth quarter. They're at the minus 45-yard line. Russell Wilson looks to his right off the hands of Fryermuth, so the clock will stop. 10:09 remaining and allow the Bengals to get some subs in there. Is Pittsburgh near the Lee Valley? I don't know, but it's got its own microclimate. I'll tell you that much. It's got its own microclimate. I thought it was going to be like New York. It's not. It's much worse. It's got its own kind of climate going on. All right, now we got 11 personnel out of the shotgun. Wilson looking right again, throws to Jefferson. This time he gets about 7 or 8 yards on second down. So now it's third down. Clock continues to move. They don't have to run a 2-minute offense, but probably the 4-minute type of, not a turbo, but higher pace, you would have to say, because they don't have a ton of time. Russell Wilson, can he come through in the clutch? Has been known to do so. And throws it underneath to Naj. Gets the first down. And they're basically down 2 scores. They need basically 2 touchdowns. So it's certainly not impossible, but we'll need to continue moving the ball here, and then they're going to need to stop on defense. Throw it out to Najee Harris, who makes a great move. That was a terrible tackle by 59, and that cost him 12 yards. 59, your linebackers cannot tackle that way. That's very poor tackling by Davis Gaither. Oh yeah, Pittsburgh's terrible, Salami. The winter for Pittsburgh starts like in October and doesn't end until about April. So end of April into May. I mean, it's just eternal winter there. Very cold, very rainy. It's the most rainy. It's the gloomiest city in America. This is the other thing people don't understand about Pittsburgh. It's the gloomiest city in America by data. So in other words, it has the most cloudy days of any city, including Seattle, in America. It's the gloomiest city in America. Terrible. You really have to up your vitamin D intake, otherwise you'll lose your freaking mind for one thing. And then it's just always raining or snowing or cloudy or cold as hell. Or I mean, it's awful. It's no bueno. Then on top of that, there's only 300,000 people who live there, so it's a tiny little city. People think it's some big metropolis. It's not. That's why the baseball team is never going to be successful. Basically asking, think about a baseball team, right? The stadium fills what, 30, 40,000. So you're asking 10% of the population of the entire city to come to a baseball game every night in the summertime. 10% of the population every night, because baseball is an every night thing, pretty much like all these games, 80 days a year, you want 10% of the population to show up for a baseball game. That's not happening. Meanwhile, New York City has what, 8, 10, 12 million people. They have a billion people, and they have to fill up a same size stadium for the same number of games. So that's why Pittsburgh's baseball team is never going to be good unless they just get a miracle drafting crop like they did that one time when they had Van Slyke and all those guys, Barry Bonds and et cetera. They just drafted these crazy great players, and they all came up at the same time. That's the only way it would work. But football is different because there's only 8 or 9 games, and you could fill up this stadium very easily for 8 or 9 games as opposed to 80 plus. Najee Harris now being looked at. Head-to-head collision here. That should definitely be targeting. That player should be out of the game. I think he used his helmet to helmet. I don't understand how that guy's still in a ball game. Maybe the rules don't say you can throw him out, but that that looked pretty obvious there. Anyway, so now Russell Wilson in the shotgun. They're at the plus 31-yard line. Got 4 men going into the pattern. Throws to Pickens. There he is, but he drops it. George Pickens, that seemed like a good throw. Not sure what was wrong with that for Georgie. Normally has great hands. So it's an in, yeah, should have had it. Not sure he had it in his hands, and then the defensive player hit him and knocked it out. But got to secure that one, Georgie boy. All right, 8:40 left, 2nd and 10 now. Wilson again in the shotgun, bobbles a snap, finds it now, going to run with it, and he's able to get about 13, 14 yards. So nice little scramble as the clock runs, 8:30, 29, ticking down. 1st and 10 though, and they're within scoring range. They really need 2 touchdowns. Field goals are not going to really help them. They need 2 touchdowns here. So probably 4 down territory, almost certainly. Chicken down toward 8 minutes. Now he throws to the right. Fryermuth wide open, and that's a touchdown. So there you go. That's what you needed to do. And that's what happens when you kick field goals and don't convert touchdowns. You let the Steelers stay in the ball game, and Russell Wilson's the type of guy. He's not gonna give up. He's not gonna fold. Doesn't matter how badly he's played up until that point. He's gonna keep fighting. And on this one, not sure who was supposed to cover 88, but if it was number 27, you did a terrible job, Jordan Battle, um, because you didn't seem like you knew what you were doing, and then you got over there way too late. So that was very bad by the Bengals defense. So now 19-14. So now the defense needs to stop, and then they can come down and get another touchdown and knock the Bengals out, even though the Bengals have been dominating this game. That's why you need touchdowns and not field goals. Field goals, no bueno, especially on the road, especially if you don't have a dominant defense. But if just for anyone, field goals in the modern age of football are just not going to get it done usually. Usually got to get some 7 pointers. So we'll see if Bengals are able to put more points on the board here. If they're able to milk out the clock, we'll see. We shall see. Gray, cold, rainy, the worst. Yeah. Snow. I mean, snow like you've never seen in your life. I did not join the Polar Bear Club. No, sorry, Bob. That would not be a fun thing for me to do. That's not my thing, Salami. Let's go. Let's go get hyperthermia in the middle of the winter by jumping in a lake. No way. Nope. I did contribute to the. They had these. They had a thing called the Polar Bear Plunge that a bunch of people did, and all the money went to charity and all this. I just gave money to the charity. I was like, what? Why do I need to plunge in? Why do I have to risk my health and life? I could just give money to this charity. It was a good charity. I forget exactly what it was, but it was a good charity. So I was like, I'll just give money. Is that okay? And they were like, yeah, that's okay. I was like, okay, here's a check. Like, what? What? They're like, yeah, but it's fun to do the plunge. I'm like, okay, it's fun for you. It's not. It's not. Yeah, I don't find that very fun. Are you going to risk life and limb to go into a water? Why? What's the point of that? I just give the charity some money. There you go. Oh, that helps. It's craziness. But there are some people who enjoy it. That's true. So different strokes for different folks. All right, now they're showing all the crazy Pittsburgh people. Surely these people are very drunk, extremely drunk right now as they wave their terrible towels. And certainly they've played Renegade. And if you've been in this stadium when they play Renegade, as I have, even though it was the preseason, but I have, it is an awesome experience. So I'll give you that much for Pittsburgh. Renegade is an amazing experience inside of a football stadium. So you got to give the Steelers that much. So they probably just ran that because this is the time now in the game when they got to put it together or they're going to lose here. So let's see what the Bengals do. The kickoff is returnable, so the returner's taken out to the 20, is out to the 25, and not even able to get it to the 30. So gets tackled at the 27-yard line. So let's see what the Stone Cold Assassin Joe Burrow and his mates, Jamar Chase and others, are able to do to Keep the ball out of the hands of the great Russell Wilson. Doesn't matter what the statistics look like. Doesn't matter how long you've kept him down in the game. He's going to pop right back up and kill you later in the game. So you better score some touchdowns. You better keep it away from Russell Wilson because of that. All right, 8:01 left, fourth quarter. Uh, Burrow in the shotgun, looking, can't find anyone. And once again, Cam Hayward with another knockdown. Will somebody punish this jumper as he knocks yet another pass down? This man, with his knockdown pass ability, is unmatched. He's super tall, he's rangy, he's lengthy. You can't throw it over his head. He leads the league in batted passes. He's the bat pass master. Nobody bats a pass like Cam Hayward. That's for sure. Now Burrow in the shotgun, looking left, looking center. Here comes Alex Highsmith. He's able to avoid the sack. Throws over the middle. Gesicki, did he catch it? The Steelers are saying no. The officials are saying yes. Gesicki saying yes. Is it a catch? Is it not? Can we get a replay? Can we get a replay? We can't get a replay, apparently. They're calling it a first down. They're moving quickly, and they're snapping the ball. So not allowing for time for a replay. And throws it to the running back who fumbles it, but then picks it back up. Can we get a replay of that pass or no? Do we not have the technology? Is this the VCR days? Second down and 14. You took a 4-yard loss because you wanted to snap the ball quickly. That's incomplete. I would throw the flag on that. I don't This is incomplete on Herbert. He didn't make a football move. That's incompleto. What are we doing here? I would say. But they're not challenging that either. They're not challenging anything, apparently. No challenges, they're just going with it. All right, fine. Ooh, that's an incomplete pass. So now this is no bueno. This is not what you want to do, right? All because they wanted to go quickly. They didn't want that other play to be reviewed, and now they're behind the sticks. It's 3rd and 14. Tight end was not ready to block T.J. Watt. Got a slow start. I don't know what that was about. This pass was. I'm not sure people are on the right page here, on the same page here. Omatic is here. What's up, Omatic? I'm not sure people are on the same page for the Bengals. They need this. They need to save their season. It's 3rd and 14. They need to convert this to save their season. Don't they understand that Russell Wilson is a killer? You can't be throwing it 10 yards down the line here. What are you doing? Russell Wilson is about to kill you. And now you're going to get bounced from the playoffs because you wanted to rush after the guy bobbled it. You didn't want them to review it. You rushed it. You lost 4 yards. You didn't even challenge that when it looked like an incomplete pass. And now you throw a pass underneath the sticks to get some yardage. You're going to give Russell Wilson all the time in the world. And you think because he looked bad for 3.5 quarters that he's going to look bad for the rest of the game. No. Russell Wilson will do this. This is what he does. Not sure what you're thinking. And you think, oh, our defense has been so good this game. It's been so excellent. Yeah. Wait till you see what Russell Wilson's going to do to you now. This man is unflappable. You think you can flap him? He's unflappable. He can't be flapped. No flapping. There's no flapping with Russell Wilson. He's now about to rip your heart out, Cincinnati. I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know what was going on in your stupid brains to think you could keep this man down. There's no way that you could possibly keep Russell Wilson down. First 12 drives, 5 out of 12, 51 yards. Last drive, which is all that counts, 6 out of 8, 68 yards. And he's going to do it again because he's going to rip your heart out of Cincinnati. And they're going to talk all about it on WKRP in Cincinnati when it happens. All right, first play not so good. Hendrickson blocked it. Got a lot of batted passes in this one. Second down and 10. Oh, you think you're all tough now, Cincinnati, because you batted one pass? No way. Najee Harris coming in to get some treatment. Apparently, he's injured, but they have a good second back, Jalen Warren, so no worries there. Okay, Russell Wilson back to pass. He finds Muth. There he goes, 8 yards or so, and close to a first down. So it'll be third and short as Pittsburgh looks to knock the Bengals right out of the playoffs or any playoff consideration, that is, and pick up an 11th win on the season just to boot. And that pass is incomplete. So now it is 4th and 1. Are the Steelers going to go for it or are they going to punt? Looks like they're going to punt, I guess. No flags on this play. They got pressure on Wilson with 91. That guy was out of bounds, so there's no way Pickens could even have caught this ball. You can't go out of bounds and then come back in bounds. What are you doing, Pickens? All right, so they're punting. So if I was Cincinnati, I would run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Now Pittsburgh's saying they've recovered the punt. I'm not so sure. Depends, did Cincinnati touch it? Now they're saying Pittsburgh's ball. Another mistake by the Bengals. Boy, oh boy, this game might just, yep, it hit the Cincinnati player. This game just might get Zach Taylor fired with how stupid this thing is. It hits his foot. Now 18 then, knowing that, has to jump on the ball. Then 83, was he out of bounds? Was a foot out of bounds? No, he's inbounds. He's got it, I think. Ooh, does possession? I think he does. Wow, what a turn of events. So poor punt play by the Bengals might cost Zach Taylor his job. You see all of these fans for all of these teams, they get very emotional game by game. Some fans think Raheem Morris should be fired of the Falcons because of the last game. They want Raheem Morris fired. Some of these fans want Mike Tomlin fired. Some of these fans, so Zach Taylor, after some of these faux pas, after this type of game where you dominated the Steelers stem to stern, you're still going to lose because you let Russell Wilson come all the way back because you screwed up a punt. Ooh, Pickens. What is George Pickens doing today? What is going on with Mr. Pickens here? Normally a sure-handed receiver. He forgot how to play football. Really? That's right in your hands, bud. What's going on here? No yards on the game. That's crazy. All right, now Russell Wilson in the shotgun. They're sending an all-out blitz. He throws to his hot read Muth. He's got it for about 9 yards, and so it'll be 3rd down and 1. Now, they're down 5 points at this point, so field goal does them no good, really. So they're coaching up George Pickens on the sideline over there. Now they've got Cordarrelle Patterson in the game instead of Jalen Warren, and a little bit probably bigger guy to pass protect. No, they're actually giving him the ball. Okay, I'm not sure why we're bringing in Cordarrelle Patterson for a play, but when you got Jalen Warren, but okay, I thought they were going to use him in pass protection, but oop, there we go. All right, 2nd and 9, plenty of time, so Arthur Smith doesn't have to worry about the clock. And once again, if they go down and get this touchdown, people will be giving Arthur Smith all sorts of plaudits and kudos. But there's a sack by Trey Hendrickson, another one, as this guy's a real deal. We had a chance to sign Trey Hendrickson or Carl Lawson. We chose the wrong one. Of course, I think this guy makes much more money. But this is the real deal guy here. Trey Hendrickson. What a stud. Bengals are wasting Burrow's prime. Well, they're trying to get in. Third and 15. This is four down territory, so just get half of it back here. Wilson looking, throws down the middle. Ooh, trying to utilize Mike Williams and at what he does best, 50-50 balls. Flag on the play. Flag. Officials have to get involved. There's a human resources violation. Flag on the play. Somebody violated the rules. Flag on the play. The officials had to get involved. The people were enjoying the football too much. Holding on the offense, that's going to be declined. Wait a minute. No, that should be declined. They're accepting the penalty. Why are they doing that? Yeah, you brought in Patterson. All he did was hold the guy. Why don't you just keep Warren in there? All he did was run for no yardage and then hold the guy. Wait, why did they accept this penalty? It should be fourth down and 15. You want to go third and 25 rather than fourth and 15. Why would you give them one more shot? Now they're going to run a play that gets about 10 or 15 yards underneath, and then you're going to have to do fourth down anyway. But all you did was make your guys even more tired. Well, I guess they wanted to push them back in the yardage wise, but now what they're going to do is they're going to throw a 10-yard pass like that, although that wasn't 10-yard. Well, yeah, just about. Exactly. So now you're at the same place anyway. Kicking a field goal. What? Why are they kicking a field goal? They're going to do an onside kick? What are they doing? What's happening here? Why are they kicking a field goal exactly? They're going to kick a field goal and then they're going to onside kick it. They kick the field goal. All right, that's well and good. But there's 2:39, so you're relying on a onside kick recovery. That's the strategy here. Now this kicker is amazing, Boswell. This guy never freaking misses. Harshest conditions, wind, snow, rain, doesn't matter. Chris Boswell's got it. But again, you know, this is what happens when you kick field goals and you're the Bengals and you're dominating the game and you don't cash in with touchdowns and you're kicking field goals on the road, trying to play on the road against a team that loves playing, muddy football, close, etc. So, Zach Taylor, you can only look yourself in the mirror for not cashing in those. And they're not doing, boy, this is kind of crazy. They're not doing even an onside kick. So you're telling me you're going to keep Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Uh, I mean, you do have three timeouts. So you're telling me you're going to basically keep the Bengals from getting one first down, which is essentially all they need. They need to run the ball right here two times, use up two timeouts, and then if they convert that third down, the game's over pretty much. Instead of going for a first down on fourth and long. Well, I guess I could see it. I guess I could see it. There's the running play. There's the timeout. Second down and 7 or 8. Timeout. Now you do another running play. Make them take the timeout. Well, I guess this was a good strategy. I mean, what's the likelihood you're going to hit that fourth and 18 or whatever? I guess it kind of makes sense. So you just got to hope that the defense gets a stop, knowing that probably Burrow's going to have one chance at it. Now, is Zach Taylor gonna? How big are Zach Taylor's balls? Let me ask you a question. How big are Zach Taylor's balls? Does he want to throw right here or not? If he throws here, he's got gigantic balls. Because the thing to do, the normal thing to do, there you go. He's throwing it, and he's going to throw it out to Chase. All right, so he threw a kind of a safe pass, get some yardage, but not able to get the first down. So I would say it's pretty big balls was the answer to that question. Pretty big balls. But he ran a safe kind of a throw. Wasn't throwing it downfield. So was able to get the completion. Steelers took this timeout. Now it's going to be third and short. Now this is where the ball game comes down to. Can the Bengals convert this third down? Burrow on the evening, 37 out of 46, 277. Jamar Chase, 10 more catches, 96 more yards, one more touchdown. Trey Hendrickson, 2.5 more sacks. These are all league leading type players going for all kinds of big numbers on their seasons, but it all comes down to a third down and 3. Can they convert here? Steelers have one more timeout and the 2-minute warning. And so if they're able to stop them, then they're in decent shape because all they need is a field goal for the win. Though it might be 4 down territory for the Bengals. Burrow back to pass now gets sacked. Unbelievable. Wow. This team cannot pass protect to save their lives. And now I guess Coach Tomlin is a lot smarter than me because now the Steelers are going to have, slightly less than 2 minutes. They're going to have plenty of time, one timeout. Russell Wilson, who knows what he's doing, yeah. And the Bengals bungle it all over again, it looks like. And of course, Pittsburgh has an amazing kicker who can make it 60 plus yarder, so they don't have to get that much yardage, and they're only down by 2 points. Well, I guess Mike Tomlin really knew what he was doing. I thought they were going to have to go on that fourth down, but no, Tomlin said no, no siree bomb. It's field goal time. And I thought that may have been a mistake, but looking at it now, I think he was actually correct. And with all of the problems that teams have had with game management, time management, look at old Mike Tomlin. He doesn't have no problems. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. And now he's in a position to win. And the Bengals had to have it. They had to have this game. And look what they're doing. They're bumbling and fumbling and stumbling, screwing up on punts. Got to have it third downs. The quarterback can't move, gets tackled, stumbling and bumbling and rumbling. And no bueno. Got to have it. And you got to wonder, is Zach Taylor safe? I'm sure the Bengals fans, if they lose this ball game the way they're losing it here, you really got to wonder if Bengals fans are going to say, we got to get rid of this Zach Taylor guy. Now, as Jet fans, we shouldn't root for that. We want everybody to stay in place. Everybody got to stay in place. Keep everybody, Gerard Mayo, Zach Taylor, Antonio Pierce, Doug Peterson, all let's keep everybody. Continuity is wonderful. We want everybody to stay in place. But if the Bengals lose this game with the way it's gone in this fourth quarter, I think some people might be calling for Zach Taylor's head, including all of the Bengals fans, because I think Russell Wilson's going to bring him down and kick a field goal, and Boswell never misses. So, you know, going to be another game where you just shake your head and you say, how the hell are the Steelers even in this game, let alone in a position to win it? They got Russell Wilson over here, scattershot gun of an arm. They got Pickens dropping balls left and right, doing his best Alan Lazard impression. And somehow they're hanging in this ball game. You know, how are they doing it? And now they're in a great position to win. They're going to get this punt. It's going to be a minute 55 or so left or something like that. And get it from the 25-yard line. So they got they're not backed up against their own uh, end zone or anything. Now they're showing all the snake bit problems that the Bengals have had. So it's always fun to look at this and say, well, it's not just the Jets, not just the Jets. Look at all these games that they really could have won very easily, just the way the cookie crumbles. Sorry, Joey Burrow. But you couldn't convert a 3rd and 3. So, how much credit do you really want? You got to convert. There's some things called nut crunching time. Here's Wilson back to pass, looks right, looks center, can't find anybody. Pass rush can't get home, drops it off to Najee Harris, I guess, who's back in the game now, and loses 2 yards. All right, no problem. Plenty of time left. But at nut crunching time, that's what they call nut crunching time. Joe Burrow could not escape the pass rush and stumbled and bumbled and got sackaroonies. That's inbounds. That is inbounds. Yes, sir. Okay, so now Wilson throws a 2 yard pass. They make the correct call that he was inbounds. Fryer Muth, he's the security blanket of all security blankets. All right, 110, 3rd and 9. Russell Wilson back to pass. Throws and complete. There it is, security blanket man. Pat Fryermuth, first down as the clock continues to roll, and they only need a few first downs. Whenever you think it's looking bleak, they got four downs to get a first down, and then another first. I mean, they basically need 2 first downs. That's all they need here, and they're going to win this ball game. Russell Wilson running for 3 yards. Okay, maybe not the best move. 34. Clock still ticking. They got one timeout. 30, 29. Tick, tick, tick. They do need to get about 15 more yards. 24. There's another sack. Uh-oh. Might want to call the timeout now. 20 seconds. Hendrickson again. Boy, this Trey Hendrickson is a monster, man. Remember when he and Carl Lawson were on the market and we picked Carl Lawson? But I think that Hendrickson just got a lot more money. We got the cheaper one. And never worked out for us mostly because of injury with Lawson. Boy, but Hendrickson is so good. Whatever money he makes, he deserves it. This dude is phenomenal. 16 and a half sacks, leads the NFL. Rest of the team, 18 and a half sacks. What a dude. That's a dude right there. That's a dude. All right, but 3rd and 12. So the game is definitely not over. 20 seconds remain. Though they do not have any timeouts now. So they got to pick up about 20 yards in 20 seconds. They need to pick up the first down included in that, of course. And then they need to stop the clock, which they can do with a spike. So a lot to do, but the game definitely not over. Wilson back to pass now. He throws deep down the right sideline. The guy's wide open, and he misses him. George Pickens, he had him. And this time he just overthrew him. Pickens has dropped the ball a lot this game, but in this instance, he's wide open, and Wilson threw it over his head. Whose fault it is, we don't know. Maybe he didn't run the red line. We don't know. But now it's 4th down. 15 seconds remaining. Pickens on the night still has no yardage whatsoever, despite having a catch. That's hard to do. But 4th down and 12 now. Can't check it down. Can't go middle of the field. This is getting tougher now, but they do have Mike Williams, the great 50-50 ball catcher. Maybe they'll utilize him here. 4 seconds, 3. Something going. Did the Bengals call timeout? All right. Maybe we needed a little breather. Terrible decisions for time on this drive by players. Wilson, you can't run for 3 yards. And that's not enough yardage considering how much the clock's going to keep rolling. It's not like he ran and got out of bounds. That would be okay. You can't run for 3 yards and stay in bounds. That was not smart. But still, it's not over yet. Don't forget, they have a great kicker. All they need to do is spike the ball with 1 second remaining. And they can get this kicker out there. So it's not over. They're at the 40-yard line. They could try it from the Yeah, 45. So game is absolutely not over. 15 seconds remaining, 4th and 12. They do need to convert the fourth down, though. Wilson throws incomplete, and the game is now over. Unless there's any flags, does not seem to be any flags. Threw it to Fryermuth, his security blanket, and so this is a good outcome actually for us because now Bengals fans will be placated. Nobody's going to be calling for Zach Taylor's firing for the most part, I would say, because they won and they went 9-8, and they could look at the season and say, well, it started so bad, and Fryermuth just dropped that one. Man, Wilson's stats are going to look bad, but there was a lot of drops in here. Fryermuth never drops passes like that. That is weird. And Burrow again able to win a ninth game on the season. So they squeak it out, even though there was a lot you can criticize about in this game. They're able to hang on in a nail biter, 19-17. And in fact, a lot of the Pittsburgh faithful are going to be calling for Tomlin's job because they're going to say, "Oh no, 10-7 again. This is not a dominant thing. We're going to get bounced in the playoffs and blah blah blah." And certainly Russell Wilson, although he brought them close and back in this game, the stats are the stats. It's not going to look good. He only had maybe two good drives or so, maybe three out of the, whatever they had, eight or nine. That's not enough. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But this sets up for more exciting scenarios. Denver now has to win to get in. And if they don't, then I guess they're in trouble. But then the Finns. So it's Broncos and Dolphins now. Got to see what happens with them. And so we're involved. Hey, the Jets are involved in the playoff race in some form or fashion. We're involved. We're helping. The New York Jets are involved in the playoff race, not to make the playoffs, not to get in the playoffs, not to have anything to do with the playoffs and the Jets, but we could play spoiler for the Dolphins. So we'll see. Probably, you know, probably Aaron Rodgers will probably have a game for the ages. Just why not? You know, and probably prevent us from having a as good a draft pick as we can have. And maybe we beat the Dolphins in a bit. Where we score a ton of points, something like that, and you know denies us the draft pick that we'd all prefer. But then again, that'll be a fun game to watch. So I guess it's not all bad. Um, well, going to Ravens for them will be bad after four straight losses. Yeah. All right. So thank everybody for joining me this evening. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Click like on the video. Click all the buttons that you might want to click. And with that being said, I'll see everybody tomorrow. Coffee with Frankie, 10 a.m. Coffee with Frankie, 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then, of course, for the game at 4:25 on the Green Bean channel tomorrow. All right. Thanks everybody for being.